Welcome, Dawson.
Thanks for having me.
I have been waiting for this for a long time.
This has been a long time coming. We haven't done a one-on-one since the very first podcast, I think.
And even then, that was kind of like testing the grounds.
Was that the first podcast on your channel, or did you?
You were, I think, the first.
Crazy.
I think that was the... no.
Or was it Jay?
Jay might have been it.
Yeah.
Anyways, you were right there. But the thing is, I've also realized as we were talking that there is something about kind of coming in with like a bunch of ideas and then just throwing them in and then seeing what the other person is going to bring in, you know? And yeah, my intention here is to propose the framework under which I see the world. And then I would love to see how I can plug in your bits and details into my framework.
Very well.
That's my aim. And we can start with Charlie. It's actually perfect. But anyways, tell me, is there anything that you want to lead on with?
I mean, all I was saying is that whenever somebody is a public figure and has a lot of media attention on them, you know, in a worldwide or even a North America-wide sense, I don't automatically assume that was a natural rise to fame. You know, it's quite possible that they had some connections, or maybe their wife had some connections. I don't know, right? The way Erica Kirk acted after it happened did seem a little sus to me, but and I know I'm not the only one who thinks that, but I haven't delved into it deeply enough to say, oh, this is exactly what happened. You know, I'm not going to say that. I just
this is a really deep rabbit hole.
It is. There's a lot of different angles that people have on this one.
It's a deep one. It's a funny one as well. It's because I was following Charlie Kirk, and I find it always interesting that even people like Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro, their deal was to mock the left craze, right?
Well, that was more so Ben than Charlie. I felt like Charlie was such like a... He was a lot less concerned with the mocking, and he was more just trying to put forth his viewpoint, you know? Like,
oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
He wasn't clowning. Ben was clowning on them.
That's true, actually, which makes it all that worse, by the way.
Yeah, it does.
And then, so, specifically with Charlie, he was Christian. That's the thing. And this is where we have a few angles. Hang on. Actually, let's pause Charlie for a second, because I want to set the stage further.
Okay.
We have, I think, two big fields that we can explore tonight, okay? The one field is the right hand of this global, because this entire exploration right now, and on that note, is going to be called the search for globalists.
Search for globalists.
The search for globalists. Who are the globalists? What do they want? You think the fan can't possibly?
I mean, is that a jet lighter? It kind of looks like it is.
It is, but it's a, and I think I know what it is. It's just the angle. And jet is not, oh yeah, there we go.
I know you got it.
And I think that the two big, as you said, current topics at present are the right hand, which is involved with the Middle East and hating on the Muslims and wages wars in that direction. And Charlie is involved in that, in one of those he's one of the branches of that one big, let's say, tree almost.
He definitely came down on like the typical Christian conservative side of that, yeah.
Well, what was interesting is that he actually, if anything, went... I'm going to take 5 steps back because I want to build it before... I want to use Charlie as kind of comebacks as we go through this journey, if that makes sense. Because he belongs in a specific spot. And the spot that I'm realizing, and as I've watched it, is he was Christian in a way where it's like the U.S. Christian independent.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that doesn't involve giving money to anybody outside, really.
Right? No, but he was pretty broadly supportive of the war until fucking near the end, which makes some people question things, fucking, and
he asked too many questions. The
he
thing
seemed to be having doubts, like a lot of people are starting to have.
the biggest thing with me is I just don't want to start spilling the beans too soon.
Okay.
Because I have so much to say, but I want to set the stage. I'm thinking. So on one hand, we have the right hand. So we can, and Matt's talking about geopolitics, about what's going on, who's running the wars and all that.
We can even just say like Donald Trump, the people who voted for him, people who want immigration to stop, like people who, because the thing is, not to be particular, but like the left fully funds these wars as well, right? Like,
hang on. Let me set, before you go there, just one more thing.
Okay.
Then there's the left hand, okay, which is the world of COVID, the world of they, thems, the world of trans rights, and the whole rainbow, right? That's the left hand.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's the corpus of the two. There's the big entity that kind of like every once in a while uses the right hand and uses the left hand, and it's very global in a way. When you mention the whole idea of Trump going for the more independence and all that, he's really not doing it. This is why so many people are, I think, disappointed by it. Because Charlie wanted it. This is where I'm going. Charlie was a person who wanted the whole, as I understand it, United States is the republics. They're independent. They act. What is it? One word I heard recently: sovereign national debt. No, sovereign national finance. Sovereign national finance. To that end.
Okay.
Which is they control their own. They're just independent, right? But the globalists don't want anyone independent.
No,
that's the issue.
The globalists always trend towards empire. It seems to be the case.
So for me, right off the top, I want to just set the stage that what we're witnessing is that the tribes stand no chance at this point, unless it's at the will of the global empire, because it's become so globalistic. Whereas we're at the cusp where it's between the globalist systems and almost non-existent nationalist systems. I can't think of many countries that are left that are not.
I think that distinction is almost an illusion, right? Like, it's good to set the stage because these are the entities that exist on the board, but I think at a higher level, these nations, like, and I always use COVID as the example because it's so recent and it's so bloody in your face. It was truly a cult mockery is what it was. They show you how every nation danced in tandem. And sure, some of them might have had different companies making their jabs because they need to boost their economy and do their little fucking farm, right? But the fact is, whatever fucking power is controlling the world said jump, and every fucking country on Earth jumped. Even though it was nonsense. Complete nonsense, right? So that is the left arm, okay? Now, I have a whole lot to say on both. Is it the left arm? Trump did Operation Warp Speed, and he made that vaccine come out. People are calling it the Trump vaccine, right?
It's kind of like this, okay? I need to pedal, right? I'm in a canoe, and there's zombies coming to kill me, right? Okay. And I have a machine gun in the right hand.
All right.
And I have a left in the left.
You got the right hat for it.
Right? So left one is keeping me safe, whereas the right hand is destroying.
Right. Okay, right. Yeah.
So at one point, the left hand gets tired, and then you stop and you right? But the left hand is still there. It's like, okay, right hand, let's just hold it, let's swap for a second. Just because because they're like the wars never stop.
No, I see what you're saying.
The wars never stopped. Yeah. The NATO has been consistently expanding for 50 years.
And they were warned. Everybody. I mean, all the warnings were there, and clearly people want war. It's not a novel idea that people want war.
The thing is, I'm realizing that it has happened on the watch or in the name of, as they call it, democracy. But it's also in the name of this kind of enlightenment thing that the Western world has done with, especially that came from America, this incredible industrialization and then technology and everything. It's incredible. You wouldn't believe how much we've gone. It's unbelievable, really. So now they're like, well, the whole world needs this. And then we just need to expand in the name of democracy. Slovenia, Macedonia, Croatia want to be independent. What's the problem? And what's interesting, because this is this is the Charlie talk, okay? They wanted to be. It was sold on the merits of them wanting to be independent, And up until then, it was Yugoslavia, which was another technically globalist system, right? That was maintained by the West after the Second World War, when they're like, oh, well, you know, they died in so many millions as well. Like they have. So I think they were pumping. That's why Tito and all these were so Western. The whole entity of Yugoslavia was kind of Western. But what was interesting, and once the money, right around the time when I think I was born, is when the Zavrnuli Česmu, they closed the tap. And that's when Yugoslavia just started going downhill. And then after that, now, what do? Do you allow them to not just be independent? No, they came in and said, we can be independent, but really, there was always NATO. They want to join NATO. And then, at the same time, they just divided everybody. And then they started ordering the militaries, staging coups. And then they started creating scenarios where they make orders to go and kill a whole bunch of people until they reach the levels of genocide, and then they use that as an excuse to just basically bomb Southern Europe. And some woman even claimed that was when Europe actually fell, because Europe was starting to make the kind of European Union euro, right? And that's the war between two empires. They don't like it. And I'm realizing this is war of empires. And then there's nation states. In Serbia, it was Djindjic. And this is why in America, it was for sure Charlie. It was for sure him.
What do you mean?
Because I was following him. Because he became so insanely popular.
Yeah, well, it's true.
And he helped Trump, because he thought, this is, I think, what I think is going on. He thought and believed that Trump would actually do the independent thing, which is what nobody gets from what I see, nobody gets a chance, right? He believed in Trump. Just like I thought, oh well, he drained the swamp, like, you know, like, and so, but right, but Charlie actually meant it, because he was like one of those guys who was just debating kids. He was one of those kids who just set up, and then he got spotted by Trump. But because he believed in the whole republic, blah 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 thing, he helped Trump. That's why he became so famous. And then Trump propelled him to a point where he just became a superstar. Yeah. And I listened to his, and it was funny because he was riding off of the three. What is it? The truth, the beauty, and truth, beauty, I always forget the third one, which is like Christian values. And then that Christianity is also very insulated. It's conservative, right? Which is what globalists hate. Right? Well,
I mean, they do try to convert everyone, though.
Of course, and he wouldn't. What I saw is that once he started realizing, it's like we're discussing now with this beef jerky and Candace. Like they're over there talking about whether Tyler pulled the trigger. And I'm thinking, what a red herring. Like, the only question is whether he acted alone or not. Right. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
If it was a lone gunman, then I have to really not believe my lying eyes when I see, like the amount of crazy stuff that went on right after the thing.
It seems like
it was the guy's lifting his phone, walking out there, lifted. It's like the more you look at it, and is that one of those things where for me, this is another thing. Actually, I'll throw this right on the table because I want to open up. We're just getting started. I'm gonna even claim that I really can only accept when it comes to people who are truly in the let's be honest with what's going on front. I'm really only willing to accept if someone will recognize both, that this whole right hand that involves this whole Zio world as well, it's fully involved. What percentage? Let's count the pizza size. I don't know. But there's this, the whole thing stinks, and at the same time, not only stinks, it's like, what the hell? And at the same time, this left COVID, the whole thing, as you just said at the opening, is also completely idiotic, and we need. That's the only unity we have. Without that, because I saw Warren Smith, the guy who's been J.K. Rowling, he kind of like did the same thing, just like Ben and Charlie just didn't. Charlie saw both sides. This is the problem. The danger is in seeing both sides. You have to choose the side. That's what cult mentality is.
Yeah, no, you have to choose this side to perpetuate divide and conquer, because if people recognize that, you know, both sides are ultimately moving towards the same goals, they're actually helping each other, it's a reciprocal relationship, you know? It's like a ball just rolling down the hill. then we would maybe be able to do something about it. But as long as we're sitting here in Trump derangement system, Trump derangement syndrome system,
yeah, system. I mean, all right.
Not wrong, but
no.
Yeah, no. And then you got people on the other side who are so sick of this woke bullshit. And of course, I mean, we're at the stage where, as a society, children are being fucking cut up and Frankenstein, and we're just like supposed to look the other way. And like we've actually let it get to this point. Like I don't understand how the men, 20, 30 years older than me, stood by on the sidelines and let the world get to this fucking point where they're literally mutilating kids and like going to kids and be like, hey, you think you're the other gender? Like, yeah, I want to fucking, God, like it's the most fucked up. Like that to me is actually even more fucked up than COVID in some ways. I cannot believe that a society would get to the point of just sacrificing its children, not even just killing them, but actually just like mutilating them into weird satanic. Like, I mean, I don't want to be a dickhead here. Look, I'm not trying to be a dick. If you're fucking trans, I don't hate you or anything like that, okay? I just think that it's fucked up and wrong and nobody should do it. But you have your own free will, right?
Can I pull it through my framework? I'll say what you said through my framework. Yeah.
I think I just canceled myself, bro.
No. I'm agreeing with you, so let's cancel together. From my angle is that just like with the new bill that they passed, that they can wait to do an abortion until the end of the third trimester.
Oh God. Okay?
So all I'm going to say is that for me, especially as an adult, this is one of those things that are just so should be obvious. When you're an adult, you can do whatever you want. Like really, truly do whatever you want.
As long as you don't hurt anybody else, yeah.
Well, but that's where it gets tricky, because going to a washroom is this: you're gonna get beat up, right? Someone's gonna beat someone up because they're pretending that they're somebody else. The thing with this is that I'm fully aware of the logistical problems that this brings, because it is about women's safety, because there's males that are going to cheat, and it's also women being accepting of males that just really feel it, okay? And I'm saying, my point is, I can totally even accept that happens, because I don't know how their wiring is.
Yeah, sure.
My take is that taking it to the level of children, which is what they did with the jabs.
Yeah.
This is one of the angles of it. I think it was completely unjustified to jab children, 500 million children. That's like, I think, a quarter of global children population.
It's an insane amount of children.
And similarly, they're sexually altering children before they even go through puberty, because of the chances that they are right, and because the psychologist is so good at knowing
what they're doing.
So for me, it's always about where you draw the legal age, and I think that drawing it at children is an extremist behavior. It's on the extreme spectrum of okay, so you're going to abort at the end of third trimester, so that means the day after it's a baby, but the day before it's not.
No, that's crazy. I saw that, and I saw that on Instagram, and I'm just like, dude, I hope that's not real, but yeah, it is real.
Here's a perfect example, by the way, if I may now continue the journey, because we're still getting just warmed up. This is where Billboard Chris, our good old boy,
Billboard Chris, yeah.
The disappointment, yes. He was actually excellent advocate on all these matters, and I sent him many emails and messages, and never really heard back from him. He just, for whatever reason, people don't respond. But I had angles for him. I had suggestions, which is like his angle was all about the age or whatnot. But for me, it's like the actual legality. It's about where you draw the legal line. It's not about saying that it's a disorder, even, for that matter. I'll grant you it all. But we can't do it until... Just like we can't allow children to smoke until...
Yeah, it's just being cautious.
Just like we can't allow them to drive or go to the military, or I don't even know, at work, for that matter.
You're just being careful. You're saying, look, maybe there's a benefit, maybe there's not, but we're drawing the line here because it's too dangerous.
Right. So where do you draw the line? So when people push into this, where it's in the children's zone, it's like, what are we doing? Like I understand that down the line, some of these kids might be proven to be right. That's what what they feel.
They're
And then
just
they
gonna-
might realize that because the hormones kicked in, they'll never be that. Is that a price to pay for a child to realize that they've chopped themselves to realize that that's not who they are?
No, it's way too permanent a decision. It's crazy. It's absolute insanity. It's
Same
not-
with the jabs.
The fact that we're even talking about it, like it's even normal.
And
like
just the
it's-
fact that when they explain to you the mechanism of the jab and the actual spike protein, which is the virus itself in its own expression, in a lipid, little bubble, if you want to call it, goes into your system. And then now there's the research starts coming out that it's been in there for like years.
Well, some people say it's hydrogel, but technically it's a lipid nanoparticle.
That was developed at UBC here down the
I didn't know.
street.
I did not know that. Fucking.
Yeah, they made a lot of money.
But the idea with the mRNA
That's
vaccines, right,
essential,
is that it instructs the cell to produce these spike proteins continuously, and they'll say, "Oh, your body stops producing it after a while." But the thing is,
Not true.
They've done some tests where it's like, "Oh, wow, these things are in here a lot longer than we thought."
So for example, so that's. Here's the thing. Okay, we can jump. Actually, are you happy to jump?
Actually, let me just come in with one.
I have so much.
I gotta hit you with one thing first that's been in the forefront of my mind.
Anywhere you go.
And it comes into how the right and the left play off against each other and how they almost work in tandem, and it has to do with the trans thing. Because think about this, from a left-wing perspective, you're accepting, some new sexual degeneracy and having a bunch of fun or whatever. You can be the opposite sex and
Okay.
do whatever the fuck you want. Freedom for all, right? Have a gay parade, do whatever you want, right? But from the right-wing perspective, if you want to look at it that way, holy fuck, we finally found a way to get the gays to sterilize themselves.
No, but that's hilarious. Oh my god.
You want to talk eugenics, which is what both of these fucking sides are involved in. It is eugenics. That's a word that everybody needs to become refamiliarized with. It used to be talked about openly, no longer.
Considering that there's reporting that the jabs, which I never encountered, my argument was always that it was never justified to jab, just like it's not justified to cut the children.
Of course not, yeah.
But the fact that now it's coming out that they're actually adverse goes hand in hand with what you just said. Is like that there's, for whatever reason, this cult, this globalist corpus with a left and a right hand, has this. I know it's like a body. Right, like it's a large global body. Now, I wanna nitpick it to figure out what's what, because there's that, and then there's like, I would even say that Charlie was in the same camp as Hitler. That's why they called him Hitler. He was called Hitler because Hitler wanted to just do Germany.
I couldn't put
Charlie just wanted to do.
That's too much.
Charlie just wanted to do Americans. Gingic just wanted to do the Serbs.
Yeah, but there's a lot in there, right? Because like, what does it mean to do? Charlie just wanted to speak. Hitler wanted to fucking conquer.
Okay, fair enough.
Charlie just wanted to hold his. To me, in my mind, they're completely fucking.
But on the level of what they wanted. The strategies were different.
Well, they were both,
but what they
had a lot of national pride.
But this is the have you ever heard how back in Serbia, even Yugoslavia, when I used to live, I remember the word nationalism was a dirty word, and I'm realizing it still is. It's still, when someone wants to, he's a nationalist.
It is, yeah.
He's a nationalist. You wanna associate with a nationalist?
Yeah, no, it depends where you.
And I'm thinking that's just wanting to have a sovereign financial. What do they call it? Sovereign national finance. It's an economic thing, I think.
Sovereign national finance. Okay, I still don't understand. Does that mean that they have their own bank? Like,
yeah, this is your own currency. That's correct.
But then the problem with that is, how do you exchange? Well, I guess you have exchange rates like countries do. Yeah.
JFK too. He would have. I know. This is Europe. This is why the theory is that NATO, in its first expansion in the 90s, first hit Europe through the south. They left the north intact and told them, don't fuck with us, because we're as a bully coming through, and now they're still bullying straight through the other side 30 years later. But that was the fall of the euro and EU fell. After that, there's really no EU. That's why von der Leyen and all these are just puppets, whereas NATO is just like still bullying everywhere.
What do you mean there's no EU?
EU is just NATO's, well, I don't know, bitch. Like they fall. It's just like the way for example, I remember when Yugoslavia fell apart, Croatia and all these countries, Slovenia, joined right away. UN. They were right away part of NATO, right? Because it was invested into it. And then I saw a map where it's like, who is part of UN, right? And then there was Croatia part of UN, Slovenia too, Bosnia. I think it was friends of UN. Serbia, friend of UN.
Yeah.
Albania, friend of UN. So these are the countries that they didn't quite, it was illegal what they did. They basically invaded the country because they didn't want war. Milosevic didn't want war. None of the Slavs want war. They had to create the war to justify, just like they had to create the COVID war. They created, and all of the, because Srebrenica was like a couple of thousand men compared to what's happening in Gaza. It's like, but they still convinced the world. Hague still concluded that was a genocide. And I'm like, but hang on. Like, in the big scope of things, that's kind of like saying, 10 million 4 million global deaths is warranted to jab 5 billion people. Like,
was it only 5 that they got? I thought they got more than that.
No, it was 5 billion. They injected something like 8 billion in total because people got multiples, but they got 2/3 of humanity, out of which 500 million children.
Fuck. Well, I'm glad some people escaped it, because it was the most. I've never seen such an orchestrated operation in my life. I knew I'd see something like this in my life, but I didn't know it would be this.
Well, I know exactly what to say on this, if I may.
Yeah.
I declare that the people who are buying the entire COVID story, who are still going for it, are as good as flat Earth believers.
Oh yeah, no, okay? Easily.
But this is how I'm gonna explain it. The problem is in the fact that truly, considering our brain has evolved for a very long time, even compared to the point where we could even do mathematics as human species. Like before that, the evolution span was so long and it was all on flat Earth. Our brain is in a flat Earth. That's another thing. We are a universe. Each one of us are a universe.
Yep.
And our universe is flat. The only thing that's not flat is a mathematical calculation or a picture that showed it to you, okay? Now, it's really hard, really hard for the brain, I would say pretty much impossible, to imagine the Earth is actually a globe. It's actually biologically
that hard.
It's only hard through deduction of mathematics.
Well, I guess, yeah.
It's only but that's important. That's because that's your alien. That's your AI already. That's not your brain understanding the size.
But
because of the grid neurons.
I'm just thinking of when you're a kid and you go to school and there's a globe. You
but that's a model. So.
But once you see the model, then you can download.
But then it can be a square, and then you believe it's a square.
Well, it's true. I mean, in theory, they could tell you
That's my point. You've never really seen it.
Right, I see what you're saying. In terms of the primacy of direct experience,
that's correct. That's where I'm going. Okay.
Even though you see it in a dynamic way, you conceptualize it.
And that's, I would say, that's the only argument I will ever give. And from that angle, I'm happy to pronounce myself as a flat earther on the level where it's like genuinely, there's simply I can't imagine. Because I can't. That it's the size of how big this thing is. It's just so big that I don't know, right?
Bro, if this ever, this podcast ever becomes big, somebody's going to clip that and it's just going to be like, I'm a flat earther.
And then clip this. Then clip this.
They're not going to clip this.
On the same token, clip this right behind.
They're not going to clip this.
Right behind. In the same token, people who have bought into the COVID narrative, it's one thing to have a building where there's some kind of a strata organization, or to have like a company that has branches where there's different satellites, for example, so that you have to have regional managers. So you can handle, that's like each company will have maybe 50, 100 people, and then once it branches into 1,000, you might know 100. That's your Dunbar's number.
Okay.
But like, then we can grasp to some degree the city setting, like a town where there's 1 million people and we have to have a city hall that regulates traffic somehow so that people don't die. Like we have to give them money to collect, blah, blah, blah. Then now we're getting into the nations. This is similar to pushing things to extremes. Just like the abortion thing, just like the children cutting thing, all of it, things, you see when things get inflated in extremes. And one of them, in my opinion, is this, and it's dangerous because the brain can't comprehend that now it could be the countries which it could be. It's easy, actually. It's just the next level. But what they do is that they have their headquarters, and each country, just like the WHO has 192 countries devoted, they still have them listed, as you said earlier, and they just call on they commit in advance. They give them billions in advance. And the return was glorious. So now they're even more powerful, you know? But for whatever reason, these COVID worshippers and pharma worshippers, I find it so bizarre, this commitment to pharmaceutical, globalistic.
They're all on the drugs, bro. They take them every day.
That's crazy. Like, I've never been healthier since 2020. I crossed the heart. I've never been healthier since 2020.
I've taken it more seriously myself because I've realized, being dependent on the pharmaceutical system, it's not somewhere you want to be. I don't care what it's for,
It's crazy. But my point here is, to me, the level of how much, when I've told this to people, I'm like, I just don't believe the scientific papers. I think there's, and I can explain, I will explain, I'm about to get into it too, that it's corrupt. At the core, that the scientific global thing that you think is pulling off, the response was always the same. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
As in, what? That's like, yeah, sure. Let's do the conspiracy.
It was like being, 2,000 years ago and being like God doesn't exist.
But that's like to me is the same thing. To me, when I looked at them to do, that's the same thing as a flat earther not being able to understand that the Earth could actually be round. Because they're so, don't see around Earth. If you could see it, if the brain had the capacity somehow to just perceive the mass, you just close your eyes and, all of a sudden you feel the...
Well, like a fungal network.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah, I suppose. Oh, and by the way, when I made that comment earlier about not being dependent on Big Pharma, I understand that some people have conditions in which they see no other way, and maybe there is no current other path for them other than taking some drugs. I'm not saying to stop taking your medication, guys. Don't do that. Fucking all I'm saying is that it comes with a serious downside no matter what you're taking. You're dependent on a very corrupt industry, and
if you just do simple health changes, you might realize that you don't even need the drugs.
There might be other ways. There's so many things people haven't tried. Like, I'm a big believer in fasting. And if you've ever tried it, if you've gone, 48, 50 hours without eating food, I've even done 36, 38 hours without water or food. And I got to say, I mean, when you go into autophagy and, your body, the one thing I'll tell you right away is as soon as you're done, you're going to look in the mirror and be like, oh my God, did I just de-age by 2 years? What the fuck is that? It's crazy. Your skin just regenerates.
So I'm a perfect believer of again, a good dose of anything. And from that angle, that's exactly what I've done with the fast thing.
You've been fasting?
I've been fasting, but I fast throughout the night. But then when I wake up, by noon, I have a nice big lunch. And then I don't eat for 8 or 9 hours.
Okay, so intermittent fasting.
So I'm kind of 2 times a day. And I got to tell you, just that alone, light years from where
I think it's more what the body was designed to do, because in the ancient world, you wouldn't have fucking bag of chips everywhere you go, You can't just show up and bring crackers,
Hey, you know what? I just realized I have a Faraday bag. Do you want to disconnect?
Oh, yeah, let's get them in there.
Eat that, mofo.
It's funny that we're fucking recording it and gonna post it on YouTube. But
don't
see it before it's out.
No, this way we'll be editing what we want to edit. Sweet balls. All right.
All it'll be is all my Instagram, and it'll be comment detox for more on how to detox spike protein. It'll be people trying to sell me all this shit.
Here's for example what happened. I went back because this Fauci thing happened, and then I went and I dropped a bomb on Facebook, and it was interesting how some people came at me this with the same narrative, and they came very preachy, with the same narrative that was 5 years ago. Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
There is still the meme remained.
I wonder if they're even real when I see that shit online, because nobody.
There are people I know. No.
That's so fucking crazy.
No, I know. This is legit. But it was interesting. There was that, but it was also, it was also for me to realize that it was still the world where people are still fully convinced that there was nothing, that everything was just. I want to address it fully right now. For example, so I went back to these videos that I made 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And out of all the links, because I found some good resources and I wrote them under, so I was kind of copy pasting because I was bringing into the new channel. And the only link that didn't work was the BC's data that they released in April.
And it would have worked back then.
In April 2021. Oh, yeah, because I was scrolling through it live in my live video that I made that nobody cared to look at.
You're talking about the graph, right?
Yeah.
Is it the circle graph?
The circular one. Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I remember one guy told me, well, you need to do meta-analysis now because this is not good enough data. Because you need to see all the data, and then make a meta study. And I thought, first of all, the fact that this was opposite, the amount of people who were jabbed was double in this data, official data, would offset the mean value by a huge margin. No matter, even if you have a bunch of weeks, having one thing that's over there, is a strong pull.
Oh, I'm not following.
Oh, so when you collect data, if you have their argument is that the people who were not jabbed were double in the deaths.
Oh, okay.
So out of 20 cases, 20 weeks of collection or months, right? Or a year worth, months, 12. Let's say 12 months.
Okay.
April was the one where the deaths were opposite when I calculated. It was opposite. There was double amount of people who were jabbed at the data that the government just released.
And that's when the vax came out, right?
But that's correct. And the crazy part is this is their immunity because they've released the data. But the reason why you couldn't see it because there's so many more people, so it squishes the death. Because anyways, they maintained it so you couldn't quite see it, but you have to calculate it because you have to extrapolate. Right? And then, even though it looked big, they were like, oh, that it has to look big because there's so many more. That was the argument. That's right. That was the only link that's still not there. Then I went on to AI and I'm like, hey, listen up. Tell me, give me all the data you can find and find me this April data. None of it is available.
Wow.
Instead, what they've done some amalgamation average per year or per 6 months or whatever. And my argument is that the regulatory capture is at the level of a governmental level that is involved in the health system and the scientific research that is being done in the name of it.
Yeah.
And the crack is literally in the point of where they release the data. So I don't know if that was a slip up in April. Some schmuck probably made a cool graph and this is where we're at.
An intern look at this.
And then got fired right after probably. No one will know. Ever.
I don't think people were. I don't think they even were thinking people would be thinking that critically, man. I think they thought they had this thing in the bag as far as I could see when it launched. It didn't seem like it was so much. A lot of people are saying it's a divide and conquer agenda, but to me, it seemed like a fucking straight sweep. It didn't seem like much of a divide. It was pretty much at least in the cities, in the major North American cities, here in Vancouver, for example, this was not a divide and conquer between the vaxxed and the unvaxxed. This was a fucking massacre. There were no unvaxxed. It was all vaxxed. What's the divide? Like Trudeau said, a small fringe minority. And in cities like Vancouver and pretty much every major fucking city in North America, so the majority of people, especially the majority of young people, especially the majority of young women who are, the most valuable, obviously, but everyone was vaxxed. This was a sweep. This was a clean sweep. I think maybe they thought it would be even cleaner than it was, honestly. I don't know.
There was a lot of people that came out for the truckers, though. People tried to dump the media and also the people who think that it's something.
There weren't that many in Vancouver. See, I was one of.
When I went to the very first one. Dawson was right out here.
Oh, the big
That was massive. The very first one, the one that the nurses organized.
Oh no, I went to that one. Yeah, I was there. That was huge,
massive.
But the thing is,
and after that, they just killed it. Because it was just, the campaign is so, nobody wants to lose their job. Because I know people who lost their jobs. And then you see that person get, and then everyone just shuts up. It's
my friend's mom was
I'll just take the jab, do it, But they were out there. Now they're not. That's all it takes,
My buddy's mom was a doctor and she lost her license for refusing to administer and
But no one's forcing you, right?
No, well, it was some bullshit coercion is what it was. And it's completely immoral. To say nobody forced you is pretty much inaccurate. People definitely did.
Well, psychologically,
That's not fair.
You're not invited to parties. Here's a graph.
And forget the parties. If you lose your fucking job, you've been forced. That's it. You need your job to live. So
I've been prepared for this. Watch this. Okay. Check this. Bless you, Dawson. And watch this.
Fuck me.
This is how we're gonna do this.
fuck yeah!
I'm ready.
Is that a water board? What is that?
No, I bought an actual
it's just
children's.
Oh, look at that.
Children's doodling thing.
Very good.
Just prepared perfectly. Okay, this is what's gonna happen. This right here is about 60 million. You guys are not gonna see anything. Doesn't matter.
Well, you could
I'll
always
try.
take a snap. If we get ourselves out of the frame, you can take a snap of it and put it in the corner later, perhaps, if we want to.
Here, let's do this. Oh, dude, perfect. Check it out. All right. So check it out.
Okay, not bad.
I might block it a bit too much.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's a professional setup.
This is 60 million. The deaths are slowly going upward. And let's say it's a fairly slow angle. And we've got 50, right? 25. And it's going upward slowly, right? So, and then we've got 2019 was about 58. Then 2019, almost.
What's this number?
The global deaths worldwide
From COVID. Supposedly, yeah.
Okay, and then when it hits in 2020, it goes to 64 million. So the difference here.
That's not a very flat line. It's okay.
Oh, you mean that? Oh yeah, whatever. It's sure. I'll grant it. Right here, right. But
Being a dick.
still, it's a 4. It's 4 million.
Okay, 4 plus. Yeah.
2020 here.
Value
Right?
4. Yeah.
Right? We got 4 plus. Now, they said, okay, let's do some calculation because last time when we spoke, we didn't quite do it proper.
Okay.
I even cut that part out because there is, let's say 5 billion people in the world, just for ease of calculation. We can bring it up to 8 later.
Okay.
5 billion. What is 1% of 5 billion? One down is 500 million,
Yeah.
and then another one down is 50 million. So we know what 5 billion. So 5,000 million. Yeah, 5,000 million, 500 million, 50 million. That's 1%. That's 100 difference. Does that make sense?
1% of what again?
Of 5 billion.
Of 5 billion.
Yeah.
50 million is 1% of 5 billion?
That's correct.
I don't know if it is.
Do it. Let's do it
I
together.
can't. It's not,
We have to. Like here, let's do it together the other way. Watch. 50 million times 10 adds a 0.
Okay,
So it's 500 million.
Yeah.
500 million.
Yeah.
And then add another 0, and you'll get 5,000 million.
5,000 million.
5,000 million is 5 billion.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Today's not the day for me to be doing that.
No, but that makes sense, though.
Fair enough, yeah.
Okay, no, but we're about to... Okay, and I remember...
I'll take your word for it.
I remember people... Because
be the math guy
I
then.
thought it was 500 million. I thought it was actually even higher. Because this is the
Yeah, I thought a
prediction.
billion was bigger than that, personally, but...
Right? Oh no, but now we're talking. There's
I
8
look it up.
There's 8. No. We backed off. I knew this was going to happen. 8 billion. We can do this. We can. I came prepared. 8 billion people is in the world, which brings it now to 80 million.
Okay.
80 million. So they said that 1 person out of 100 that you know would die. That's 1%.
Right.
That means worldwide, there should have been. This is 60. 80 is this. So 80, so we're talking that it was supposed to go all the way up to here, okay? That was the prediction.
80 million.
That this amount of people, this is why everyone this is why I freaked out when I started calculating.
But they had said that 60 million had already died, and what, 20 more million would die? That's what they were saying?
No, that we were that the rate of death was so steep.
Right.
So I would get this all modeling. This is all modeling.
Yeah, extrapolation.
Right? So I was sent a thing where it said it's gonna go by I don't know this, and I remember just drawing the line. I did literally this. I'm like, let me just calculate. I'm like, no, this is like it's going this way, but they're saying it's going that way. Like it literally. And then I sent him. This guy was actually in bioengineering.
Oh, yeah.
He was in that field in Germany. He sent me this total scaremongering video, and I'm like, no. And then he never responded after that.
He's just got nothing to say because it would ruin his social life. It's probably what it is, you know?
Well, he would get fired.
Oh, well, then that's
the same idea, right?
Bigger worry.
You can't risk it. So instead we got 4 million, which is this little thing. Okay. And this is how many people die anyways. This is how much people die anyways. So it's just like a thumb's worth, right?
Yeah.
Now, in 2021, when it was administered to all the elderly, the ones at highest risk, this is another thing. And you and I both know a lot of unjabbed people, and I know that very few died.
I don't know a single unjabbed person that died.
I know a couple,
COVID.
I think. One at least. The other person I'm not sure, but I know hundreds. So for me, it should have been a landslide of death.
You know hundreds of
unjabbed
people, right?
Yeah,
and only one of them died. What did they die from?
Cancer.
Oh, cancer.
And an older lady from cancer.
How old was she?
I don't know, late 70s maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? We swim in chemicals.
It's not like a freakish, oh, this is definitely because you didn't take a COVID vaccine type of death, though. It's not like a 20-year-old collapsing from a fucking, heart issue that has no pre-existing condition until they took the jab, right? Like,
yeah, it could have also been, I don't know, like sunscreen. Who knows, right? Like, we do a lot of
sunscreen's not
stuff.
good.
Right, the smokers, I don't know, right? But in any case, it was very few. But that means that, okay, so here's the thing. They administer it to the elderly right away. Mm. So that means that a vaccine, as they call it,
vaccine
stops, as they say it in the tracks. And I know that it's percent. I'll give you that. I know it's percentages, but with the elderly and the fact that they got them first, it should have just gone straight back to the upward spiral. So back to around 60. So 64, it should have probably gone down, or at least maybe leveled, or right, like
this is a per year number.
Per year. That's right.
Okay.
And so we're going
just to clarify to the viewers.
So what do you think was 21?
I have no idea. You tell me. I wasn't following the numbers closely.
I just checked because of this. It was about, so if this is 20, 40, 60, 80. So it would have been, no, what am I doing? 10, what am I doing? Oh my God. 30, oh yeah, there we go. Never mind. It was almost 70. It was almost 70 over here. So it went up by almost 10 million.
After the vaccine was administered.
After the vaccine was
administered. When it should have been going down.
Well, now, the argument is, and this devil is saying, because the model was saying that this many are going to die, it was the unvaccinated now.
It would have been so much worse.
It would have been, this was the worst.
Right.
They'll
say that. I love when they say this, there's no way I can possibly prove this, but if they didn't take that vaccine, it would have been a lot worse.
Again, I took myself to task the beloved AI, and I'm like, tell me the ages, who was jabbed, and the AI could not find anything. And then you would meander around me, and I'm like, no, I asked you.
It's hard coded to avoid that, yeah.
And then, but once pressed, it actually starts to apologize. You are right. I actually don't know what I'm talking about.
You can't get it to that point. Like, I got it to that point on 9/11 after a long time. I'm like, hey, just admit to me that no other building has ever collapsed the way World Trade Center 7 did. Just tell me that it's completely unique in the history of the world. And it's like, yep, it is, according to how it went down. That's enough to raise an eyebrow to anyone who wants to think.
And that brings me to Charlie Kirk. When I look at his assassination, I see a team around. When I look at what Charlie stood for, which was the whole always ask the questions. Now, the only thing that they stand for is don't ask any questions. And I'm like, no, like, he would not. That's why that one guy went from Palestine, came in, kind of told him he was a Christian and he was from India, and he gave him this whole, and at one point, like, what's his name goes like, he's like, what? Like he just couldn't compute. Because I think that the West, the entire Western Corpus, with its two left hands, because it's a Western entity now, there's China and Russia and Iran, but I think South America's gone. But there's this entity that is running these scripts. And whoever becomes too famous and popular as Charlie, he was aiming, the way I saw it, with how smart he was probably one of the smartest people that I've ever listened to. He was very Christian, but like the way I would have loved to converse with him to just refute a few of the things. But otherwise, he's like the amount of stuff he just researched
He did
on
a
his
lot
own.
more good than harm, that's for sure.
Oh my God, yeah.
He gave a lot of good. I was watching him quite
the
regularly
truth.
before he died. Not for a long time, but in the months before he died, I was watching him very often, looking at his clips on YouTube. And I'm not Christian. I know you're not Christian, but I really liked what he had to say. You know,
Well, actually, I am Christian technically.
Oh, you are?
Well, I was baptized now, wasn't I?
Oh shit! I guess
Was it my choice or was it not my choice?
Well, do you
was it
believe-
peer pressure? Was I forced or was I not?
In the time that I've known you, I would not describe you as a devout Christian.
That's right. Yeah.
You're not a dogmatic thinker.
Yeah,
Charlie
exactly.
is. That's one thing that separates me from him as
But
well.
you know what's funny? He was not the first
Or was,
person. He was not the first person who actually used, because he was truth, beauty, and what was the third one?
That's in the Faraday pouch.
and the beauty thing went against the whole trans thing right away, and the truth stood for understanding what happened. And I think there's another woman from England that has been kind of similarly going against the educational system, and then she also is like, Christianity is, and I think they're doing it because this Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution came out of the West, which happened to be Christian. So there now it's. And Darwin was he was a Christian. He was a priest.
Alfred Russel Wallace was a Christian.
They were all working because they had nothing else to do other than to sit down and look at the world. They're like, oh shit, like my church. Oh shit, I better just keep my head down. But I'm going to write this stuff down.
Like if you were a deep thinker, those are the channels you'd have to go through.
Because that is where's the money, right? But what's
Community,
happened?
everything, yeah.
What's
Money
happened
too.
is that the Enlightenment system rejected the whole world, and. For whatever reason, the Charlie Kirk types, like that woman with the curly hair, the kind of Indian black woman, what's her name?
Fuck,
No. She's American. Anyways, Candace too. Candace, she's also Christian.
But she is, yeah.
There's a few of them who just like are like they're peddling the whole Jesus is what's the word? The king thing, right?
Right, Jesus is king.
Right,
Christ
now,
is king.
Right, that whole thing. So they think that science and all that came out of this, but that you would have to be Protestant, because if anything, Protestants are the ones who really went against the grain. It's all branches, and I'm realizing that Zionism is just another branch out of all those, and.
What's not a religious belief, Zionism, though? Or even a philosophical belief?
I think it's a religion.
It's a reconquest movement. I mean, it's a reclaiming of a homeland. I mean, Zionism is it's separate from the religion, right? Like the people who are Zionists are Jews, are Christians, are usually Jews or Christians, but that is like a geopolitical movement to claim territory.
I'm starting more and more personally. I'm starting to more and more understand it or think of it as an actual religion.
Really?
Well, think of it this way: when Christians decided that priests should marry. Or not marry. They shouldn't marry. That was where the Orthodox moved away from the Catholics. That was one of the breaking points, right? And when that happens,
I didn't know that. So which one can marry then?
The ones in the Orthodox.
They can
have children. Whereas
but the Catholics
once you become
can't.
Catholics, you're always.
Yeah, see, that's one of the worst decisions Christianity made, in my opinion. But yeah, go on.
No, but that's one of the examples where now, when that happens, a person who stands there is in a limbo zone, of sorts to speak. Right? You have a choice to want to go this way or that way. That's your crossroad. That's the devil's crossroad, right? Who's right? And I find that, especially in the West, where everyone got liberated and went into this kind of atheistic world, which kind of became, I don't believe in anything.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that there's this, like, people, like, and for that matter, people switch religions all the time. You can totally switch religions. There's people who convert all the time. And for me, Zionism is no different than the next religion that has a holy book by which it stands.
What's Zionism's holy book?
The whole Bible script.
Oh, I guess, but Christianity and Judaism are religions, though, and the Zionists are Christians and Jews. So how can Zionism be a religion if its adherents are all subscribed to Christianity?
It's the next branch, just like I think this is how I see
like an
it.
expansion pack.
Well, it's kind of like it's separated. Well, the problem comes from the fact that it actually started with Protestants. Ironically,
Zionism.
There's your Enlightenment movement, yeah. Where first time in the 16th century, because Protestants were like, this is bullshit. We don't want the Bible to be misinterpreted. interpret it. We want to read it as it is. And then they read that it said the Jewish people need to go back to their motherland, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then they took it literally, and then they started using that to tell whoever had migrated from there to go back. So for me,
I did not know that.
Right, and then the Polish, the Central Europeans, who became the official Zionists, in my opinion, are the people who abandoned their whatever Jewish religion they would have had in Poland and branched off into Zionism, with the addendum is the argument with the Catholics and Orthodox was, whether you can have kids as a priest. Here, the arguments was that we're gonna just en masse do an exodus by creating wars, nevertheless, to make sure that our people go back, and that is in the name of the religious script, just as much as any other religion. But for me, it's a branching off now that accepts converts or what do they call them, recruits from any. You can be an atheist for that matter. You can be a Christian Zionist.
That's true.
You can be a Muslim Zionist. I hear that there's a lot of people in Israel who are Muslim that absolutely love the whole concept.
I mean, Israel has 2 million Muslims. It's not a huge country.
And if they love it, they are Muslim Zionists, because they believe that whatever's happening in the context of creating the state of Israel, which to me is just a colonial outpost.
It's like a proxy state for the Western powers, basically. And
it's expanding, as we saw with what they did in the Balkans.
Yeah. Well, it's just like if you're playing...
It's pushing into Iran now.
I see
Russia.
it a lot like a game...
Crying out loud.
It's like a game of StarCraft 2. You want to have a proxy. You see that the people you want to fight are over there, so you decide to build a barracks or a little station down there. That way you can produce some units there. You can have a presence.
I thought we evolved as humans. I thought we actually figured it out, and that Yugoslavia is the Southern Slavs. That was unification of people who were bloodshed for centuries. Finally, actually, ironically, even though I consider Yugoslavia to be a globalistic system, it actually unified people. But then you can use it to divide people just this quickly. But I think my solution, and I want to go to your anarchy as well, because there's a few things we forgot, and I'm still waiting for the Bing Hucha.
I've got one loaded in the chamber when you're done.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. No, hang on, I'm losing this one. Hang on, what was I just talking? It's gone.
Oh, fuck, sorry, I didn't
I distracted myself.
But yeah, I didn't want to stray from Charlie too far, because that's kind of been a recurring character that keeps coming back into this conversation.
Charlie is your litmus test.
Let's discuss it. Have you ever heard of the ritual killing of a king? You ever heard of that?
Oh yeah, this is such a ritual, it's not even funny.
Right?
What do you know?
JFK, right?
Yeah, I know.
So you have a guy that is built up to be the savior. You have everyone's hopes pour into this figure, and you make him kind of like like an idol, right? But a good one, not like a satanic one, like an actual oh fuck, this guy could really help us. And then you fucking kill him in front of everyone so they can all see it. So they can all see what happens.
Funny you say that, because the real rabbit hole, I don't call it conspiracy theory, which was the whole CIA word. I like the rabbit hole, because you just have to go digging, or it's like branches. You have to explore the branches.
I like literal words, so I use the word conspiracy theory because it's a theory of a conspiracy, and the conspiracies, if you don't think they're real, you're fucking ignorant or you're an idiot. That's
okay, well then let's go with conspiracy hypothesis then, because they're all hypotheses.
Fair enough, yeah.
We can prove them, we cannot. You can say you don't have proof, like beef jerky with Candace. Never mind.
Then you have conspiracy fact that you have a lot of proof for.
But that one has been redacted, and you're not allowed to talk about it, or you're going to lose your job. All right.
Well,
but it can be controlled. You think it can be controlled globally? Yeah.
It can be.
Of course
COVID proved that, but we should have known it before. Anyway.
To me, that was the proof. Now, in which way are they going to come at you? But hang on, what did you just bring up? I want to address
Killing of a king, Charlie Kirk. Was that a ritual? Did they build him up to knock him down?
Yes, thank you. So that's a perfect example.
And was his wife his handler in all this?
I would agree. And I think that I like that angle, which is, we are going to watch the brightest, but that would imply the level of the globalist involvement in watching how to run stuff.
Like, this is all a fucking script made like 40 years ago.
Because you have to maintain. Because the thing is, let's get clear.
Not 40,
the globalists don't want Christianity around.
I think it's a tool in the, I gotta say, I do disagree with you there. I think it's a tool, and I think this is the way they play us off against.
Okay, fair enough. Wow, it's so.
Mark Passio said, and this really stuck with me. He said that if you want to know from where the world is really run, if you want to get to the root of it, below culture, below government, below everything, you look to Israel, Vatican City and Tibet, and there's your fucking answer. And Tibet, yeah.
Why Tibet?
I mean, this is a part that us in the West, we don't think as much about, but the East has their own form of fuckery that keeps them down, right? These little shit sandwich religions
But how
that give
can
them...
the headquarters be in Tibet?
I
Because
mean,
it fell, and they just put it there to mock the Buddhists.
this is just what he said, but I do think that the Dalai Lama is kind of the leader of the majority Eastern religion, and has been for some time, you know? Like, that is kind of the religious epicenter
All
of the
the
East.
Indians would worship him too.
Like, I don't know how directly they worship him, but I know...
no, maybe not. No, that's not their god.
I do know that in terms of, like, modern Buddhism, or even Buddhism for the last century, the Dalai Lama is the most important living figure.
Just like Tito. Tito was a Western guy. You know, everything about him was he had all these bands, Serbian bands playing.
The Dalai Lama isn't a Western guy.
But he comes here and promotes. He's very popular. But he's popularized.
He definitely does, and he is, and he's another one of these.
Connection.
He's another one of these influences, giving us these shit sandwich religions. And by the way, the Dalai Lama. If you look into the history of the Dalai Lama, it's kind of like the Avatar. If you've ever seen that show, he's supposed to reincarnate every time he dies. So they basically find a kid and say, "Oh, you're the Dalai Lama," but before, like, some priest will select him, right? But it's basically this kid is groomed from fucking literally birth to be this figure, right? But
that's correct.
Some of them,
which just shows how deeply entrenched.
Some of them died at really young ages, you know.
Sheesh.
Some of these Dalai Lamas, at least one of them died below the age of 10. So,
well, let me address the
20th
ritual.
century.
I think it was a ritual, and I think the way it would play out is that they have so much power in the Globalists, the Corpus, I call it. Now, that's with the left and the right hand. When a person, he could have been he was getting popular. And they look for a kid who's pushing the narrative that they want to use as a division point. Especially because he's arguing the very rainbow terminology that they themselves installed to begin with, to use it to divide, which, what's his name, Yuri Bezmenov talked about. And what they do then, because I've heard the rabbit hole, conspiracy hypothesis, which is there's all these numbers that add up in terms of, because it's September. I'm afraid September's about to come. I'm going to release this just before September, because I got to tell you all, it September seems to be, or that kind of like when Halloween starts to look.
Sometimes things go down around that time of year. I mean, 9/11 is probably the most obvious example. So this
would have been, because, and also to the level that it was pre-planned, especially with this whole drone thing that Jimmy's talking about. And I would say that, yes, this is just like this one journalist at the, what are they called? History, come to me. Neutrality Studies podcast. Excellent. Okay. This one woman was talking about Yugoslavia, and she was actually making that point, which not only did they occupy the southern Europe through the Balkan Wars, which was illegal. The whole genocide was just a story, but it worked. They also, that was a ritual to Europe.
Okay.
That was like, this is what's going to happen if you don't join NATO.
I really got to brush up on this history. You know way more about this region's history.
But that's why I'm talking about. This is the brushing up.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that the whole 9/11, as you said, like the level of operation. Hey, do you mind grabbing a beer?
What you want?
You were good with just talking for another session of beer. Is that good for you?
Yeah, I'll like take an intermission at some point.
When?
Have a joint. Maybe in like 10 minutes?
In 10 minutes? Yes,
but you can take the beer up to the...
I'll take it up.
You want this one?
Yes, please.
I'm going to wait a sec to have one more.
Yeah, that's perfect.
But we'll have another one.
So yeah, I can totally see how every once in a while they look for somebody who is a good candidate. The thing is...
A good candidate for sacrifice.
It's like
Full Metal Alchemist.
The word Holocaust is another thing that bothers me, because yet again you find that how much can you trust any history at this point? And the very word Holocaust literally describes, or it means, the sacrificing of your own. Because and Charlie was their own. And he believed in them. He fully believed in them.
This is a really harsh topic to talk about because it gets into some nasty, nasty shit. People do betray their own kind. It's not a unique time in history, but...
Well, that's the whole Judah story.
It is, yeah. But to talk about the Holocaust briefly, I mean... it is absolutely 100% known. I'm not gonna, say some massive definitive thing, but I'll just tell you what is a fact. And a fact is that many Jewish people did participate in the Holocaust. That is a fact. George Soros is one of them. He talked about it in the 60 Minutes interview. People will say, that's what you had to do to survive. I would say, and I pray this day never comes and I never have to, make this choice. Maybe I'd be too weak, but I fucking pray that I would have the balls to just die rather than betray my own. I fucking pray that I would, because God, there is no lower thing to do. Why would you want to live after that, right? Like, fucking, I sure wouldn't. And he literally led his people to slaughter. Like, he would go into the Jewish ghettos. He would be like, "Oh, I'm lost. I need food. I'm running from Nazis," and then he'd fucking ferry the Nazis right in there.
Hang on, I'm not following.
What George Soros?
Of course.
You want to talk about globalists?
No, tell me, what is this thing? What
so George Soros, when he was a young boy in Hungary during the Holocaust, right? He would basically he was Jewish, right? He was and is Jewish, and he basically pretended to not be Jewish. He had like an uncle or somebody that was a Nazi or something, and he worked with them.
Oh,
he did this at a young age. He was 14 years old. He talks about it in a 60 Minutes interview. You can find it on YouTube. And you know what he says to it? Just listen to this. "It was the happiest time of my life." That's what he fucking said. And people say that's out of context. And to everyone that's saying that, just shut the fuck up and watch the 60-minute interview. It takes an hour. Watch it, and then fucking tell me that's out of context. I've seen the whole thing.
Now I'm gonna run your thing through my framework. Yeah. I would see this as considering that Zionism is a Protestant branch. A branch of a Protestantism.
It's an interesting take. I haven't heard it before.
Yes, I know. It's a Protestant that gained a lot of interest by European Jewish. I think two of them, because the Europeans and Latvians or something like that. I can't remember now. Okay. But it was two countries, predominantly Polish, maybe? No. Yeah, did I say Polish?
You said You mentioned Poland earlier.
Yeah, Polish and some other eastern one closer to Russia. But Poland. That's why Germany, I'm guessing, would have attacked Poland first. And from what I hear, Hitler didn't necessarily even want too much war after he got Poland. I don't know the details, because for me it's about. We don't have to go down the Hitler line, but I want to address the fact that it was a Protestant branch that got adopted by European Jewish, two factions of European Jewish that let go and now left, just like Orthodox and Christian separated.
I see what you're saying.
They left that, and now they're that, plus we got to go down. And when we go down, we know diversity is actually a really good motivator. So if there's problems up ahead, and there's anti-Semitism, because what I find wild, this is why it's so similar. This is why I need people to recognize that left and right hand are the same.
Yeah.
Anti-vax is no different than anti-Semitism, because anti-vax was a person who was anti-mandate, and anti-Semitic person is who's saying, listen, we don't need to have wars. We don't have to do these
That's a total conflation, though, because anti-Semitism means hating Jewish people. Anti-war is a different stance,
I've been out there. When I'm out there, I've been called a Jew hater.
That's what people
I went out there and I said, hang on, this is not... And then there's this one person...
Don't accept that framework. That's a false framework.
That's what I'm pointing out.
Yeah.
That is my point. I'm saying that...
Yeah, that's some bullshit, man.
No, but that's how you create anti-Semitism.
Here's the thing, though. It is complicated.
It's that whole terrorist. You know, when the more you repeat it, the more it becomes things. So it's the more you repeat it, now all of a sudden everyone hates.
You're not wrong, but let me tell you this.
Because that's what they did in Serbia. 3 religions. They just divided them all up.
There's a difference between saying you have a problem with what Israel is doing and then saying that the Jews have no claim to a country of their own at all.
Okay. Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Because I would say that the Jews have a claim to the region. There's buildings there that were built by King David 3,000 years ago, yada da. What I would also say is that the way what Israel is doing right now is... This is a proxy state of, in my opinion, the still running British Empire, which just became more subtle,
Here's my... actually, can I comment? I have so much I can comment. And then please, follow me. This is how I would take this. I think that it's a problem for there to be an ethnicity. This is ironically, the whole Zionist claim is a nationalist claim, by the way, the dirty word, remember?
Of course it is, yeah.
But notice how we're all championing that dirty word.
State, yeah.
But notice, I thought we don't do that. Okay?
No,
that's why I think that this greater Israel thing that
that's like the right hand, though. Like you said, they like that. That's their brand.
It's an S&M thing, really. No, okay. So, but what I'm saying is
that's more on the left.
right. But bottom line,
one does feed into the other.
Bottom line is that sorry, what did I just say? I totally lost my train. Where was I? Where were we?
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm gonna start drawing here, and then we'll remember. So when there was, there would have been about, I'll draw this, 200. Yes, they should have their country. They should have. I think that every ethnicity. I think that's my claim.
Every ethnicity
I
should get a
actually
country.
think that globalism is actually a mistake. I think that the world would actually have less wars because globalism wants to expand. Whereas if you have nation states, as long as and value the nationalities. This is why it's this whole rainbow thing, which is the left side, which is doing this, and then at the same time it's invading. I'm trying to. This is why it's a search for globalists.
Well, here's what globalism.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Here's what globalism does. They're not even necessarily trying to expand anymore. Those days are over. They have it. They own it all. But what they do is they say, "Oh, let's make this pawn go fight this pawn and soak the earth with blood."
Yeah,
because that's
to make
our religion.
Money, to get more and to get more power, and then we can keep running it.
Yeah, money, power, but also spiritual, philosophical belief. And a lot of people will say, "Oh yeah, it's evil Masonic shit." Don't start conflating things. Masonry. There's a lot of really good esoteric knowledge in these traditions. The problem is, the actual center of this, which these people are Satanists. These people are adherents of what Mark Passio would call the old religion, and they truly believe in soaking the earth with blood, and that you just have to do it.
That right there to me, and this is why I want to dig into the anarchism with you, because to me that whole murderous state to me happens. It's human nature. Let's call it to some degree.
I can't agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. You can't agree.
I cannot. Yeah.
No, you have to know how to murder if you're whatever.
The human is a totally programmable being, unlike any other animal.
But if it's for survival, if you're in a boat and there's 10 of you, okay, with all your family in there, and there's like 20 people coming, and you have shovels and you push, and you're gonna all sink.
Yes, here's the
Would you defend?
I would call that animal nature, and but
that's my point. So I'm building from there.
Just to clarify,
the rational comes on top.
Let me say that the way I look at the human is it's a battle between animal nature and human nature. That's what a human is, right?
Totally.
So that's when I say that it's not that human nature is programmable. I'm referring to this
right, the human layer.
We have the animal baseline.
The human layer. Fair enough. And I would say
the animal defense.
No, absolutely. And so what I would say is that it's in our nature. It's in the
that's
it's
fair.
in our system.
That is fair. Yeah.
It's the underlying older circuit.
That's our old programming. Yeah.
Well, that's stronger. The emotion is way stronger.
It's a complete.
That's why it's the family. That's why I added the family into the boat.
Some people call that the reptilian, or maybe that would be. Would that be the reptilian or the mammalian?
Mammalian feels the emotion as well.
Mammalian is more like I'm going to defend somebody else.
No, mammalian is I think social. That's where sociality comes in.
What I wonder
is for the family.
Is reptilian? Do reptiles defend their family? I don't even fucking know. Or do they just look after themselves? I wouldn't be surprised. They look pretty selfish,
So then you have. Hang on. Where were we? Hang on.
Going off on too many tangents.
No, we're right on track.
Sorry, human nature, animal nature.
We're right on track. We're still there. What was the topic? It was.
You were talking about that's human nature to defend, or sorry, like you're gonna murder.
Yes, I think you helped me. Yes, I know where we are. So the tribal societies seem to be by nature very murderous when they have chieftains associated. Maybe egalitarian, because I've done some research and I've read about this. And you can probably just ask AI today. But because we have the good nature, because I agree with you, like we can override our animalistic to actually function in a way that is friendly. And I think
we have that power.
I think it's a mistake to neglect ethnical background. It's especially now that it's happening against this white culture. It's really happening against a lot of white Western people where it's almost like I watch the videos nonstop where people get arrested for just waving the British flag.
It's fucking crazy. It's actually
right.
Crazy.
But so for me, it's one of those where I'm like,
that's
the work of globalists, because the mentality of a unified nationalism that has sovereign national financing. I think I'm on the right track with this one. I think I'm on the right track, or something to that end. Something where they're economically independent, they produce, they invest into their people, just like Robert De Niro movie Mission, where they invested into the tribe of the hill.
It's an economic independence.
It's independence, and then the trade can happen depending on who has, and let it thrive. Let's connect everyone. But as soon as you enter into this globalist world, that first corruption, I think, just goes through the roof, because how are you going to control? It's hard to control a nation.
Too much power.
So now, where does, and then you have the tribes under, and then you might have, like, say, farmland or small parishes and towns, provinces. Where does anarchy fit in this spectrum, if you will?
Anarchy is
from tribes to globalists.
Anarchy is just the absence of, like, overarching archons, really. Anarchy, anti-archy, archon, anti-archon, as in monarch, as in oligarch, you know. So we're saying anti-archon.
Can I comment or try to find, because I want to run it through my framework. Archy is different from oligarchy in a way where
archy is the suffix that is shared between many other.
It's the big emergence.
What it basically means is archon like.
No, I know exactly, because equilarchia and equilarchia to me is patriarchia and matriarchia. Equilarchia is when you listen to both the man and the woman.
Patriarchy, good examples.
But archia is the world of governance, of dominance, of I tell you what
authority,
to do. Authority.
Really, yeah.
Now notice, we cannot have large. This is where I want to really tackle this anarchy and see how to work with what it means to draw the line of at which point is it anarchy,
right?
Which is every time there's somebody who's like, listen, we need to make dinner. Okay, you be the chef. So you organize. We'll just do what you say. That is anarchy.
Right. Well, it's not.
And that's
not.
But it is.
No, well, it's not because it was consensual.
It doesn't matter.
No, it does matter. That's the only thing that matters.
No, that oligarchy. Hang on. Archy is you can't exclude the presence of consensual archy, because it's still archy. It's me saying I trust you, just because you have, and then the trust might change.
But here's the difference.
It becomes anarchy.
Because if I decide that I don't trust, then it doesn't matter. I'm still subject to it, just the same.
Because it's anarchy. Because it's a different flavor.
If I decide
that I don't want, it's anarchy that you don't like.
But if I, in the dinner example that you just gave, to just differentiate these, if I decide that I don't want to be a part of that dinner, I don't fucking have to be. But if I decide that I don't want to pay taxes, guess what?
Because in the archy of the tradition, you wouldn't be able to leave. It would be an insult to the family to leave. It's just that the Western...
It would be an insult, but you still could and you wouldn't die, right? But, like, if I actually disobey the real archy, dude, if I disobey it, I will be taken away. I will be taken to prison. That's what will happen.
Absolutely. Okay, so follow me through.
I can't even go out and catch a rat on a stick and grill it.
Okay, I wanna. Okay,
we can take the intermission now, but should we wrap up this thought?
No. We're about to build it.
Okay, very
nice. No, because it's I need to figure out. We need to untie the. I want to make sure that your framework is properly plugged into my framework.
Right, yeah.
And I know I have a formula that allows for that.
Okay.
Because I really look at it. I take a step back every time. So when it's anarchy, I'm like, and not only in that field, but in the way where anarchy is this, and then there's different kinds, and they can be. It's like cells, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can have an oligarchy is an expression of anarchy, but anarchy and whatever created it is the primordial soup.
This is a very interesting flaw of the language, because anarchy as
is that what you meant?
No. It's just a very interesting flaw of the language, because we should almost just say archy, and just not say.
Sheesh.
It's very good. English is not perfect. Programming is better.
All right, we're gonna be right back.
This is why AI has not taken it over. You can't express anything as clearly as you can in code. I mean, I wear the hat when I go out to play pool and shit, but we're actually getting the fucking meat of it here. This is what life is actually about.
I want to dig even. I want to really dig now. If you really want to indulge me.
Yeah, sure. I mean, where did we leave off?
I know exactly where to take it from.
Here.
I know exactly where to take it from.
Okay.
It's about where for me, it's all about where people draw the lines of where something is. Should it be right at conception? The archy. That's right. Does the archy?
Where does the archy begin?
Where, for example, where does the archy dictate whether we consider life to be at conception, or whether it is at the point of birth?
Well, the archy wouldn't have to do with whether that's true or not. It would have to do with, is there an enforcement level to this?
Excellent. Okay, so let me take 10 steps back. Can I please take 10 steps back? One thing that I really realized, because I listened to our previous conversation, where I really wasn't on your branch, let's call it, was when you were talking about genes express proteins. Remember that? You were saying that we are all about our genes, and then the proteins are running the whole thing.
I basically paraphrased the Rupert Sheldrake view that, that they just code for proteins, and that morphogenetic fields actually contain the information that assembles them, right?
Yes, excellent. Yeah. So I want to build something. I want to build from here, okay? Because I would love to present to you my framing as much as then I plug whatever you. But I think the more I present to you my framing, the easier it will be to plug yours into mine.
Okay, let's hear it.
Does that make sense? Okay, so the genes are the information. And I think it's isomorphically, the more I look at it, it's functionally pretty much identical in the cultural world. And to some degree in the material world compared to the living world, right? That's the three candles, right? And the question is, are the genes making the proteins? And the answer is, well, not really. What it is that it's an ever-spinning cycle. Every emergent level has its tumble, in the dryer, where you're always coming back to the same point, right? And with the creation of the protein, you need proteins that are going to be in that translation, transcription, whatever processes to translate the DNA into a protein. And one example, I was just looking this up today because I really wanted to, I remember because when I dug deep into this, I got as close to exactly what's the mechanism, right? And one of them was RNA polymerase, is this one molecule that is a protein, as you said, that is made out of a DNA, and then it does something to build the body, right?
Okay.
But that very molecule is literally used to parse the DNA on the strand in order to make itself. Okay?
Oh man, fuck it. This is hard for me to follow right now.
No, I'll do it. It's a chicken and egg. It's a chicken and egg. The very molecule that the DNA creates is involved in the production of itself. In the chain of production of, meaning it's sort of like what came first. This is the chicken and egg thing. Mm-hmm. And my point is the chicken and egg is the dance, at which point there's a dance, primordial soup, and then at one point there's a mutation that, Sapolsky's work, where all of a sudden you have a repetitive power where there's this gene molecule that if it does this thing, it creates the protein, but that very protein was there already with the mutation, and it just does that spin, right? And then it just becomes bigger and bigger.
Okay.
Okay, does it make sense so far?
I'm finding it difficult to follow, but I get the general gist of it.
And now every gene is associated with a protein. Every gene makes a specific protein, and that's the everlasting dance that they just do constantly. And now when there's a shit ton of genes around, they're just creating an environment where they're competing, doing a whole bunch of stuff, right? Cooperating, not cooperating. Mm. And I realized that it's the same. And I want to play this thing because I've been saving this, and I'm going to tie it back into Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
The idea here is that the way we function, this is the morality, the ethics, the ethos of a society, and then the archy that governs it, okay? And the ethos of society, I created a whole nomenclature of comparisons of how it relates to those systems. But you have to think of every society as an organism. Okay? Or better to say, every group of people that hold a specific worldview. This is why, for example, back to the Jewish question, these people don't have a country, for crying out loud. Now, to argue with it, you need to create it where they came from, or maybe go somewhere else is a separate strategy, but they need to have a country, like they need to exist somewhere, right? So it's one of those where societies as such, they get defined by very strong factors such as ethnicities, where you are, where you've been, all of that. And then within that, so that would be like a large society, but you think of it as an organism because when you sing the hymn, the anthem, that is the meme. And the anthem, the singing, knowing the words, is to say that this territory here, I pledge allegiance to. Right? Okay. That's the ultimate top gene meme that governs you. And my comparison, sorry to go off if you don't mind, but I'm going to tie it in, I promise. The genes is what you know. The gene is your universe, your input, whatever you've learned, whatever knowledge you in there hold somewhere. The proteins is the way you behave. Okay? Comparatively. And that's a dance. What you know is what you do. But did you do first and then know what to do? Or did you know it and then you did it? In the world of, and not, to take it further, it all still is just a chemical reaction in your brain, which went from chemical reactions to electrochemical reactions, but they interact in similar loops all the time, right? So what I've done this, I've put my framing, and so now I've built it from there up, right? Like, how does each one behave? Never mind what's subjective, this or that, right? So now, if you allow me, the way, the force of the electron atoms, this is where epigenetics come into question now, okay. Right? This is where I was like over there trying to make a Lamarckian point, but you were over here down at the lower emergence level, just trying to set the stage, right? Okay. So this is the stage, how I would set it, and tell me if I'm off or not. But the crazy part with that is that the ethos, the ethics are literally the conviction, the belief. Doesn't matter what the science is. You can be more rational. It's kind of like a separate molecule, the energetic field, right? Because a lot of it is, like, I was thinking, like, you just name something and people do it without even thinking. Like, you don't, and once you start thinking, is that the right thing to do? You're now playing with the ethos of the societal system, and you start to go against the people, not necessarily the idea, because the idea is sacred for them, because that's the meme, whatever it is, right? That's why for me Zionism has this extra meme that is, we're also going to move into this specific area over here, no matter the cost, right? That's just the meme to me. That's how I see it, and that's the travel of it, right? And it's an everlasting dance. And each behavior has the ethical. So if you go for a hike by yourself, that would be the equivalent now as if some molecule of an oxygen or water molecule or some pesticide got into your nose, the gas from the exhaust from the car gets in there and then finds its way in there and then eventually gets exerted somewhere. It's kind of like an independent entity, right? You're going out for a hike. But by and large, most of our ways of how we think is superbly tied in to the norms. That just like there's a genetic world has luxury genes and kitchen sink or something like that. Some of them are like across the entire body, but then there's the one that are specialized, the genes, and they get expressed through epigenetics. Now, epigenetics is only to say whether to make the protein out of a gene. The gene is locked. It's sitting over there in the chromosome.
Right. Epigenetics just turns them on and off.
Right, that's right. Yeah. In the societal epimemetics, as I would term it, would be when you say the word retarded, and I'm like, you can't say that. You're bad for saying that. Take it back and apologize. And then I mean it. This is not a joke. Like, this is serious. And then you realize, whoa. And so it's a dormant meme that you learned how to think and how to act out, right? There's different ways, there's different strategies.
And a lot of colloquialism for this is just mind controller programming. Like, you're basically just setting these traps, and there's a very, very easy activation switch. That input is going to come because,
That's right.
It's how both sides play off each other, right? If it is true that the left and the right hand are working in concert, which I believe COVID, and to be honest, there's a million examples. Let's just say they're working in concert, okay? And, the input's going to come in, it's going to activate that epimemetic, as you said.
That's correct.
And then the behavior that September's you predicted will ensue.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? So it's predictable in that way.
Yeah, you have to watch for it now, I'm realizing, because as I said, September's coming. And there's going to be some adversity, I fear, because the West...
We're already so deep in it.
Charlie, the thing with Charlie is that he actually thought, now to rationalism, sorry, the thing that, let's go back to with this in mind, what I just said, now I want to explore the anarchy world, and what did you call it? The rational,
first principles.
Yeah, okay, now I set the baseline, and now tell me about first principles. And then I'm going to try to kind of see if I can match my framing to whatever that world is.
So this is kind of like, how should I describe it? I mean, first principles is basically working your way back from first principles. So saying like, for example, killing an innocent human being is wrong. That's one that most people can agree upon. If this person is innocent, they haven't done anything to harm anyone, why would you kill them? You know, everyone has a right to not die, right? So you could say this is a principle of not doing unnecessary harm, right? We could call it that principle, okay? Or the golden rule, whatever. Let's just take a principle, right? So the principle of not doing unnecessary harm. That's like a Buddhist principle, I guess. But a lot of people do agree with this, and the idea is like, okay, let's have an example of something that went down in society, and then let's take a first principles approach to deconstructing this topic. So let's say, for example, COVID. Why was COVID wrong? You know, why was it wrong? So you could come up with a bunch of things, but if we have a first principles argument, and this is the argument that I believe a lot of very logical anarchists would use, you would say something like, well, it's wrong to coerce or to force somebody to put something inside their body that they don't want to. Like, it's not sexual, but it is almost a form of rape. It's like, and don't get mad at me, feminists. Look, it's fucking wrong. You're forcing something in somebody's vein. What's more fucking, invasive than that, right? Like, right into your vein, into your bloodstream, right? And they're telling you, you have to take this or you're gonna die, you're gonna be fired. I mean, fuck, this was the biggest fear campaign I've ever seen. I mean...
So, let's say, can I play the devil's advocate?
But hold on, I haven't finished my argument
yet. Yeah. Sounds good. But I want to understand. I want to understand the principle.
Okay, so, okay, fine. But let's just say, sorry, I got thrown off for a second there. But
the first principles.
Yeah, so why is it wrong to coerce somebody to do something? Why is it wrong to coerce somebody to put something in their veins that they don't want to? Let's just say, as a basic argument, we don't know if it helps, we don't know if it's dangerous. What we do know, though, if we're using first principles arguments, is that we don't need to know if it's dangerous or not to know if it's wrong. We only need to know if it's violating like a fundamental right. We're working our way back from this. So we're saying, like, for example, you have the right to the integrity of your body. You own your body. That's your right. And a principle might be nobody has the right to violate that integrity if you're not violating them, right? If you're just minding your own business, somebody can't come up to you and violate the integrity of your body.
Can I add to this really quickly? The ability of a person to be able to suppose that the bug was killing half of humanity. Okay. And suppose that they actually had a cure that just stopped it in its tracks. Yep. It was like every time you put it in. Okay, and as it was sold, if you don't do it, grandma's gotta die. Okay. So and it's fine. We've already run whatever tests, right? And you just this is the belief. Because at some point your chemical reaction has in your brain, as I was defining earlier, has to decide whether you believe this tribe or this tribe right here, or that are doing certain thinking. Right. The globalists are not the globalists, or the free thinkers, right? The people who are just using their heads.
Yeah, or let's just say the mainstream narrative or something.
That's else. Your globalist. The mainstream narrative it cannot not be. It is, of course, because they're now talking. How many of the independent voices are also captured?
Yeah, and then there's so many independent voices,
and because they made so much money.
There's like one big narrative, and then there's all these tiny little independent voices.
And then Charlie came, who, when I watched him, the thing with that guy, the reason why he was so popular is because he was so good with being, in my opinion, exactly that not rationalist, but kind of like that thinking, which is like, because like in this case, it would be like my argument with the COVID would be to run it through my framework is that it was just, you are justified because it's always a dance between liberty and order. Always. You can't run away from it. It's just that matriarchy allows for more liberty and patriarchy is more order. So you find some balance. Because if the adversity is really bad, then you have to clamp down. right? And make orders to save more lives. Doesn't, right? Like women and children first. You don't get to go.
The thing.
Women and children first. You stay on the boat. There's people would just. It's funny. It almost works out. And then I think that the argument with COVID is that when you can actually with your own eyes calculate and your own brain calculate that it's not justified enough to run an operation like this.
Yeah.
This is, I think, where I would do an extra kind of like marker or kind of like where the line is drawn in the argument.
Okay.
Which is you need enough information, like proof. And furthermore, now that ties into that I don't believe the globalist narrative. They do. And they laugh at us to think that this could be a big conspiracy.
So
because they are bought into the globalist ethical system.
To consolidate the argument you just made, though, what you're saying is that if the danger is verifiably bad enough, then there is a justification to
There's always a line. You cannot not have a society where you say, listen, we can't have the children playing around in train tracks. If somebody sees you have to take the child away, it doesn't matter. And if you see somebody not care, they're going to be reprimanded.
I mean, first of all, the anarchist response to that would be delegate this to the families, and delegate this to the communities. And it's not a giant overarching thing. It's just layers of people looking out for what is obviously better, right? And here's where I will make the first principles anarchist argument. I will say that if COVID was truly bad enough, that people were dying in the streets and, it was truly, but it's beautiful. This is how beautiful life is. You don't need to force anyone because the truth is so self-evident. When it's actually that necessary.
People start doing the right thing.
People are going to be begging for it.
Yeah, people will be helping each other.
You don't need. See, this is why COVID was such a bunch of fake bullshit. Is because they had to manufacture. They had to manufacture this hype for the vaccine. Vaccine. Fucking. They had to manufacture this whole hype because in real life there would have been none because it was clearly. Not what they were saying it was, right? Like, people were not dying in the streets. My grandpa was fucking 93. He got COVID. He survived. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to get made because nothing's taking me out. This COVID thing is not what it was chalked up to be. Like, fucking...
Well, you know how I see it?
Kept on living.
So here's the extent of COVID to me. It's lab-produced. Who's it? Jimmy talked about Dallas Buyers Club. I watched the movie. Oh, my God. You should watch that movie. And it's amazing how the whole thing was... I lost my train of thought. First one tonight.
Oh, no.
What was I just saying?
You're talking about Jimmy and something...
what did he talk about?
Something club? Fuck, sorry,
What was it before? What were we talking about? Total derail.
My brain is not functioning at normal capacity today.
Cheers, man. Thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah, man, fucking thanks for having me.
That's been great.
Dude, straight up, yeah, but...
Oh! Actually, I would love to play the clip now.
Okay, let's see. What's this clip?
Love... Okay, so, speaking of Jimmy, perfect. So, this is... Let's see here. Okay. All right. I'm going to probably edit it in later, but I just want you to hear this. You should
look at it as the blueprint of your house. This is how...
Hang on. Here we go. Come on. Oh, no.
Problem because RNA should look at it as the blueprint of your house. This is how your cells are translating into proteins, and those actually do the work. So if your blueprint is modified in the middle of the construction pattern, just give you an example, then it's going to be a disaster because it's not the same protein as you designed. Fragments can be formed, and this is the majority of spike proteins after modification.
Let's just go back there for that.
Yeah, let's figure that.
Listen. This is, I want to. Sorry, I need to say what I'm about to do. He's about to make, quite literally, the comparison. Sorry, I should have described it. He's about to make a comparison in the world of cultural systems, which he's framing as, okay, we need to gather together in this tribe, whatever it is, to build this building. And we have this book that has the blueprints of how to do it. That's your chromosome in the mimetic world, in the cultural world, okay? That's all I'm going to say. And he actually uses that metaphor in comparison to mRNA. Because what mRNA is the molecule in between DNA and protein.
I thought that was RNA.
No, RNA is just everywhere. RNA builds DNA. RNA builds everything, including mRNA is a messenger RNA. It's in between before the protein gets made.
Okay.
That's why what they're doing. So this is what's happening. This is perfect. You have DNA here. He's about to talk about it. And you've got the made RNA, which is what you brought up in the previous thing, right? In between, there's an intermediary mRNA that floats around. So it's a two-step process, okay? What they've done is that they've taken the mRNA, so not in the DNA, because that's in the chromosome.
Yeah, the messenger.
Over there. It's a messenger, and put it into the lipid nanoparticle bubble, and then it can just come undetected and enter the cell's cytoplasm, which is outside of the nucleus where the DNA is.
Right.
But that's where the ribosomes, ribosomes over there. That's where the mRNA gets expressed.
Okay.
I forget now. Right? And the lipid will be dissolved there, and then it'll just create a bunch of spike proteins. And those this is how they explain it. And then the spike protein goes to the edge of the cell, makes its marking, and the immunity system recognizes it as a foreign agent, kills the cell. The argument, the way I see it, is, and then I'm going to get into this, is when you get COVID, this bug that they made in the lab will destroy a bunch of your breathing cells. And that's maybe long COVID is you just don't get enough oxygen anymore, right? When you put it in your body, it can go anywhere. It's like when you get the virus, it's not wrapped in a nanoparticle. Are you kidding me? Like this is like
it's not.
The whole concept is just absolutely.
And you don't know where that needle lands either.
And then John Campbell was talking about if you don't respirate, it can get into the blood and then it goes into your heart direct. And then it just starts doing that exactly. It goes into the heart cell, and heart cells don't recover. That's your myocarditis. Now, I mean, like,
it's terrifying.
The thing with this is that when I think of the mechanism, and then somebody sends me, a scientific research paper released by the Globalists themselves that claims this and this, and I'm like, but what about the mechanism, people? Anyways, he explains the
thing is,
mechanism.
who wants to think about it? There are many angles you could approach it, but the one that you're coming from is one of the more difficult ones, I would say.
Right?
You have to really think it through, and there's easier ways than that to tell it was bullshit, but...
Listen to this now. Listen to this. And then I'll tie it into Charlie. Because, hang on. Because Charlie started...
If you stabilize it, it's actually useless for it.
Yeah, listen. Oh, come on. I don't know what I'm doing.
Unless you modify it, you stabilize it, it's actually useless for anything.
They took something that is supposed to leave the body quickly and made it persist. Why is that a problem?
It's a huge problem because RNA should look at it as the blueprint of your house. This is how your cells are translating into proteins, and those...
Okay, I just want to pause. Listen.
We already heard that.
He said, RNA, you have to think of a blueprint. Now, here's the problem. I just want to add it right away.
Okay.
The blueprint is the DNA, not the RNA. Because I want to correct what he's saying. I want to make it even more understandable. Okay? Because I think because if the lingo is not correct, then you're not going to really understand exactly the metaphor.
I agree. Go on.
Okay, ready? So he said RNA is the blueprint. It's actually not. The blueprint is the DNA.
Yeah.
If you lose the blueprint, there's no life. You can't build the building.
Jurassic Park. Dino DNA.
Exactly. And the book, whether it's the Bible for the Zionists and the rest, or How to Build a House, if that book burns, you're back to trying to figure it out from scratch.
Yeah.
Okay? But cool? So the blueprint is DNA. He unfortunately called it, even though his point still holds, he called it RNA.
Okay.
Because mRNA is an intermediary. Okay?
Okay.
Now listen what he goes. Hang on.
Oh no.
Fuck. Shit. Sorry.
I saw that.
No, I just restart because Oh, no. Get out of here. Check, hey? Yes.
Please stand by.
Here we go. No. Here we go. That's going to be an advertisement now. Oh, there's going to be an advertisement.
Somebody forgot to use Brave browser.
I don't want to know.
Yo, is that an iPad?
It is. Yeah.
Buddy, you got to use Firefox Focus. It's the only one I found that has a good ad block.
RNA should look at it as the blueprint of your house. This is how your cells are translating into proteins, and those actually do the work. So if your blueprint is modified in the middle of the construction pattern, just give you an example, then it's going to be a disaster because it's not the same protein as you designed. Fragments can be formed, and this is the majority of spike proteins after modification of its RNA and injections. The biggest danger is because the template stays in the cell is reverse transcription, making DNA from RNA, and that's the source of aneuploidy, which we all know
I see what he's
physicians.
saying.
It's more
Okay, so let me just pause here for a
This is
second.
why people were saying it changes your DNA.
Yeah, okay, so can I...
So you think this could end up causing kids?
Okay, so listen. So now I'm going to explain.
Okay.
The idea is the mRNA in the bubble comes into the cytoplasm of the cell, and now it starts getting expressed outwardly, okay, into proteins, spike proteins, so that the cell can be killed. Okay? But what he's also saying, and this is another angle, this is just another branch, is that while it's in the cytoplasm, that RNA strand can get wrapped itself into reverse transcription
and start
process.
Modifying DNA.
And so I just want to do, which is how it works, I just want to do a slight adjustment to his lingo, which is, this would be the equivalent of us needing to build a building. And then we have the one book and one book only. And then you're the manager. You're the person who's going to govern. And I want to get back into governance archaea now, because I'm tying it in.
Okay.
Now, you're going to govern the building of this house according to this book. Okay? Now, you start building and you're following it exactly as it is. I'm the virus and I come, dude, no. Just put that over there, put this over here. You're the mRNA. You're the actual builder of what the building is going to end up being. That's the protein. Okay. Your work, right? Mm-hmm. And if there's, and the idea here is that the mRNA is now making you just plant bombs so that the whole blood thing explodes.
Right.
Quite literally, that's what it makes it do. And then we learn that that's what it is, and that's how you get immunity. So you sacrifice a few. That's how it works, right?
Right, like some of those cells have to die.
But here, they just all go anywhere in your system. Anywhere. Yeah. Dawson, anywhere. The lipid nanoparticle allows it to go, in their own words, anywhere.
Yeah. No, and that's why, and I've heard this so many times, that it can present anywhere all over the body, and that's the point, because if it was one clear thing in one clear place, it would be so obvious what happened, right? So this is a way that they can say, oh wow, there's an increase in this kind of cancer. Oh look, there's something bad happening in this part of the body. Oh wow,
here's the next
crazy
product.
That all these, Oh,
and what's worse,
we have an mRNA shot for
and
that.
And so that's the self-destructive element. But what he's saying is that it can not only go in there, but it can go into the blue, meaning that say you're building the building, and I convince you so much that you decide to edit the blueprint and start making it so that the actual DNA builds a shitty house that'll collapse, and that's your cancer. That's why he says at the end, that's why you get cancer. Because the blueprint has changed. Now the cells, and because they constantly divide, mitosis, that's why you shed. Yeah. Because the cells are you're constantly building. You're constantly dividing globally. Mitosis is our entire existence. Constant division of our cells. It's crazy.
You know a lot more about this than me, man.
Because I wrote about it. I personally researched. Was
this your first field of study then?
No, computers and physics.
It was computers and physics.
And then I decided to figure out this cultural thing just really interested me. And then I realized, but I need to know
You're talking biology, yeah.
Yeah, I had to learn because I studied it because I did a bunch. I did the UBC honors program.
That's field.
Cool. So I know a lot about it. But like for me, like when you actually look at it on the face value, and then you can actually, so now, archaea. Now let's tie this into archaea. So every system has an archaea, meaning to me, you are following the blueprint. So if someone comes around and says, no, that's not how we're building, I hold the archaea over this architecture or whatever building project. The archaea is on the level of a group of, 20 people just hacking away to build a house, for example, or whatever, right? Now, the archaea gets complicated. The oligarchy is when you have, say, a system, whether it's a town or a small village or a big global, when some fucking guy decides to go rogue and starts taking the monies and start embezzling, and then all of a sudden starts killing people off.
Look,
And
the whole institution is a danger to begin with, though. Like, you don't forge a ring of power because nobody can wield it. It will always be corrupted, you know.
So, exactly. So now, and that begs the question. Now, to the point of the matter, the big picture. I'm convinced personally that, to me, anarchy, other than because what the first principle describes is a way of thinking. And
it is a way of thinking.
But that way of thinking can exist in all the archical systems, because you have the globalistic system, you have the national system, you have the parish system, and you have the tribal system.
And it depends.
Tribal system for sure. It
depends what your principles are. But,
that's right.
But they don't think in those ways. They think in ends justify means kinds of ways, and that's the opposite. In first principles thinking, the ends never justify.
But each system has to do that. You have to commit to some system. You have to, if you want to belong to it, right? The idea is that on which rainbow, no pun intended, it actually lies in. And I think that if I think of anarchy, that first of all brings me straight down to the tribal field mentality. Hang on, hear me out.
Okay.
That's what I'm struggling with, because
so I don't
think that's what you're saying. I think that the principles can be applied to a tribe. They can be applied to a community, like a town. It can be applied to a country. Can it be applied to the entire?
It absolutely can. It should be, and I believe someday it will be. But the thing is that anarchy is a lot less than you think it is. By the sounds of what you're saying, like, anarchy is really just the absence of a thing. It is not a thing itself, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, anarchy is not a system. Anarchy is the absence.
No, but follow me. Okay, great. Because for me,
whatever system you use is on top
I have a word
that.
for
anarchy. Is a very baseline. It's a moral baseline.
Cross-stational.
Cross-stational?
Okay, cross-stational. I've tried to find...
As in between two states?
That's correct. Okay. So I tried to find a word, because these events that we might be organizing with the minority of people who've been stayed on the outside of the COVID nonsense. Because it's kind of like I always think of it as little good bacteria or bad bacteria that is not passing through your system, and the genes, the proteins that hunt down your immune system, is always being like, okay, who are you? Okay, you can go, you know. And the anarchy to me is that level. That's where I exist. That's where you exist. But the system cannot change. It will have to be there, because if you destroy the whole thing, we're straight back to tribalism.
I mean,
okay. So for me, the mentality remains as a layer of existence or thinking that is kind of like just embedded in direct. They don't follow the rules of the system. They're cross-stational. Because I define my own rules. Like when people behave with me, if somebody is not being respectful, I'll call them out on it. And if they don't like that and they start acting out, then we're gonna have to get to the bottom of it, because I'm just not gonna have any of that. And people usually just leave, because that's my protective layer with my tribe, if you will. I have my own rules, and I have them very strictly, but they're not religious. They're not Christian. They're not. They just exist as a principle. So now I'm trying to think that what I think you're proposing is just simple idea of making it as fair as possible.
I mean, yeah.
Because you're always faced with the tram. What is it called? With the tram problem. What is it called?
The trolley problem.
The trolley problem.
That's what it's called. But
because that's always there. You always have to do a calculation to say, okay, well, are we going to jab this way to not kill grandma?
I don't think you do, because this is all...
But what about grandma? Hang on. What about grandma?
It's all presupposed...
Is that not fair? Is grandma argument not fair enough?
Here's the thing, man. Is that it's all presupposed on the idea that you can have humans that have authority over other humans based on...
In the name of grandma? Nothing. In the name of grandma?
I don't give a fuck whose grandma says that you can have authority over me. You don't, because I'm me and it's my body, and if I'm not hurting you, you don't get to tell me what to do. So what anarchy is, it is a moral baseline. It's like a basin. Picture it like a container. It doesn't actually have any rules per se. The only rule is that there are no rulers.
No, fair enough.
There are rules.
Okay, let's take it. Here's another angle.
What the rules are is another topic. Right?
Okay, here's another angle. I'm going to try to just take it from a few angles.
Okay.
Here's another angle. I actually, one thing that I have truly concluded, and this is what I base it all off of, is we always function. This is Sapolsky's chaos. The chaos is everywhere. Chaos is constantly around us, and our patterns, whether genetic or mimetic, or material under, they're following a pattern that is making us stay alive. Let's just think of it that way. Okay, I'm starting to get a bit tired.
I'm starting to get. I didn't start off in good condition today, but it's deteriorating rapidly.
Tell me what we were just talking. I really have this one, and then we can start winding it down.
I don't even know. We came from anarchy, and then you came back with.
Oh yeah, you're helping. Keep going.
I wish I had more.
No, we came anarchy. No, I have it. Oh my god.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's not you. It's me. I just said it. No, you were saying about whether it can be run.
I was saying that anarchy is a container, and then rules, can exist
thank you.
within
You helped.
Right?
You helped.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's about liberty and order. It's always about liberty and order.
Yeah, and the difference is whether the order is enforced by man or whether you believe it's encoded into the fabric of reality itself, which I do.
I think both are true, and here's how I'll say it.
Okay.
Because the one of being embedded into the fabric of all of us, that's our needs. That is our genes. That's our biology.
But it's so much more than that, though. Like,
what do you mean?
It's so much more than that.
No, hang on. Follow me through.
Okay.
I'll take it all.
Okay.
Even the beyonds. I'll take it all. Once it's kind of like, so. A family has like 5 boys and 1 girl.
Okay.
And they realize it's, when kids play football, they're noticing kids just want to kick the ball or kick something.
Sure.
And then the girl's like, we have to be with the boys. She has to conform as a minority into their machinery. Okay. And I find that the systems are like that. When it's very patriarchal, that means that the system is clamping down on morality, which is the rule of law. Exactly, okay? Ruled by law, in contrast, is the laws that we have that protect your liberty. So we have laws for liberty, and we have laws for order, which is you're not allowed to drive down the street and just cross all red lights, right?
And let me say one thing about that. Those laws that are enforced by man are valid only so long
because it comes
as they exactly parallel the actual universal truth,
which is our biology. Okay, so great. Okay, perfect. Because I wanna excellent. So where I'm going here with is that this is what I'm believing, because matter emerged life, and then cultures emerge out of biology. But biology is that blood of it that you talk about. Biology defines. Well, the biology defines whether you're going to have this trait or that trait, and as a result, that will affect. This is where I was going with it, by the way, when we were, because you started at the proteins and genes, but I was at the point where what they say is that the genetic changes are always some random mutation. That's the new atheist. That's Dawkins's take. That's the woke take. That's the left-hand take.
I mean, that's natural selection, right?
However, because it's the good old, this is where I was going when we had that thing last time. You were going there. I was going to the giraffe, which is like, if you just stretch your neck. No. Just because you stretch your neck, that doesn't mean the gene's going to change. However, if you're always stretching your neck and you happen to be born with a mutation of a gene that will have offspring that has long necks, and then into the next generation you have to do it again. Look what we're doing with dogs.
That's unnatural, though.
No, but that is mimetic engineering. Point being is because the way I was saying is that, or the way it's understood is that genes create proteins, but actually proteins can come back.
How is it mimetic with dogs? Dogs have memes?
No, humans have the memes, and we apply our memes.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Because you have to see where the energy is coming from. The mimetic energy, the ideas, the ability to do it. right?
I guess, a pug is kind of a meme. Yeah, I suppose you could say that.
No. Meme. No. Pug is a result of a meme. A meme is what we are allowed to do. It's a meme is what is within the legal scope between the order that must be and the liberty that is allowed to be. And in there somewhere, those are the memes that guide it. So, for example, you can't cross the red light is a meme. It's what you should or what you're not should or shouldn't do is a meme. So when I tell you don't say the word, that's why earlier when I asked you when you said about saying a retard and me going off at you,
I would never say that word. I've never said that word.
So a person doing that is enacting. That's epimemetics. It's the methyl group, as in genes came, which is you saying that was the methyl group. You were the trigger. And my dormant
biology analogies go right
of
over my
shaming
head.
you to your face for saying that in front of everyone to see, just like they shot Charlie Kirk. It's in the face. They have this is why I stood up to them now when they come. I'm like, who are you? Like, first of all, who are you and what authority
You're
do you
talking about
have?
Facebook now?
No, people in person when they start preaching. If they start telling you, like if I say the word retarded.
Oh, and they try to give you a moral...
No, but that is a meme triggered. A meme is the idea.
Yeah, it's an epimemetic activation.
Right. So memes are everything. We live by memes constantly, just like biological systems live with genes all the time.
Okay.
We're constantly guided, and thus
I can get down with that analogy.
Okay, and thus I think that the anarchy that you speak of, just pragmatically speaking, can in a large, especially globalistic. Now we have City Hall. We have the province, what is it, hall, whatever, what is it called, Parliament Hall?
Yeah.
And then we have the federal hall.
Parliament
now there's a
Hall.
globalistic one over God knows where. We can get into that. And then, and then we have to toe the line around all of those memes. And I think the truth, I think the anarchy, and I think this is where we come together. Because for me, anarchy is actually just walking your path and just making sure that you follow the principles that you speak of making it fair. And COVID was completely unfair. We should have never jabbed the children. Children should have never been touched. And that I can back up scientifically, actually.
Like what you're describing in your definition of anarchy is like, that is what I would say is an ideal...
How to float.
It's an ideal manifestation of anarchist philosophy.
Okay.
Because anarchy is a giant blank canvas, right? And what when I say I'm an anarchist, that doesn't tell you everything about me, right? That just tells you one thing, that I don't believe in rulers, right? But like in terms of what I actually believe, I believe in the golden rule, in universal law, and doing unto others as you would want done unto yourself. Maniac, masochist excluded, of course. I won't hear those stupid arguments, you fucking neckbeards.
What's that?
Oh, just people who say, oh, well, I like to get my dick cut off, so I'll cut somebody's dick off. It's just like, shut up, mentally ill retard.
What's connection? I don't get it.
Oh, just in terms of like, the golden rule means do unto others as you would want done unto yourself. It's an excellent philosophy unless you have somebody who is just a mentally ill masochist who says, oh, well,
So again, back to that's perfect point of the standard deviation, which is, this is the problem of liberty allowing the minorities to do it. This is your trans world. Because matriarchy... No,
but you're not wrong,
But then you can clamp it down and close it into the world that you're talking about. To which point, because there's always... And you create... The norm is set by the mean value. The size of this room, Dawson, is calibrated to the average sizes of say, North America or a Western person. It's not for tall people like you and me. If you go to Japan, everything, the cars are smaller because they're calibrated.
Oh, yeah.
They're legally calibrated. This is super important, right?
Yeah.
Because the idea is that you're locked into it by the biology around, and the norm sets it. And if you, as a minority, get some rights, I think you should just, if anything, be grateful. But what you see the psyop, the moment you see somebody who's a minority who's arrogant about it in some way, because that's when you see that's the division being created. But anyways, I'm digressing.
But the problem is when we get into positive rights. You know the difference between positive and negative rights?
Well, that's for me would be what to which the government can intrude into your rights, and to which point you can intrude into general society with your frivolousness, because the government because it's a question of government is the order, I think. That's why it's associated with masculinity. That's why you cancel the the police, the defund the police thing was all about that. I just saw Candace and Charlie when they were propping each other. There's this thing, and she's wearing a T-shirt that says "smaller government," small government.
Yeah,
and I think where you're going with it, I'm just trying to piece it. I think where you're going with it is that if you reduce the constant telling you that you have to jab yourself with some pharma products, and it's one thing to not cross the red light, but when it starts coming in, then you start realizing that there needs to be a dose of anarchy in the system. And anarchy is a healthy ingredient, which is...
Anarchy has to be the baseline.
Anarchy is to me, in my big picture, anarchy is direct negotiation.
It is,
which is
very
sovereignty to not
That's exactly
at a national level,
yeah.
not to a town level, not even to a family or small hangout group, friend, whatever level. It's down to the person directly.
It is. Because, and this can work from state to state, from community to community, family to family, person to person, like you said. But what it is you actually have to fucking reason and get along with people. You can't just invoke some power and be
That's
like,
correct.
I have these rights, blah, blah, blah. And see, this is where I want to get back to positive and negative rights, because in positive rights, you have the idea that you're actually entitled to something. In truth, you're entitled to nothing. You have no rights.
So give me an example.
An example is free healthcare. Sounds great, right? Now let's say I'm a doctor. Can I point a gun at you and say, you owe me this? Here's first principles. Let's get it down to two people in a room and say, okay, you're the healthcare provider. I'm the guy who needs healthcare. If I have a right to healthcare, that means that you have to fucking do surgery on my leg right now. I don't give a fuck what you need to do. I don't give a fuck if your baby's dying. I'm dying, and I have a right. It's my right to your labor, your body right now on my fucking leg.
Yes, okay.
Right, so
that one's called what?
That is what we would call a positive right. The idea that you think you're entitled to something.
And the other one's called?
A negative right.
What is that?
A negative right means somebody says, hey, I'd like to cut open your leg. And you say, nope, that's my leg. I'm entitled to it. So a negative right.
Okay, perfect. From a legal perspective, okay, I would say that the negative right is when the governing, the archy system, the system that is in charge, the one that takes responsibility, that's another word.
Yeah.
The one that is in charge, and you have to follow. Whether you like it, this is for me, you can be totally consensual.
And what's the negative right?
The negative right is the actual dominance. When it goes too far.
No, because
when it goes too far,
that's a misunderstanding.
Preventing from going to. Give me the example.
That's a misunderstanding.
That's like I want to cut your leg. Like for example, you're in a thing, and the doctor says I want to put this in your body. You says no, and even if they think that the government says it's like no, this is where the reach of whatever you want to do into me comes to an end.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right.
Okay.
The negative right is basically you drawing the line. Yeah.
That's a versus the law that protects you with the ability to go and run naked, do a naked bike ride downtown.
I mean, that would also be a negative right because you're not asking for anything, though.
What was that?
That would also be a negative right, like to bike naked, for example, because you're not asking for anything. So a positive right involves you have to get something, right? That's a positive right, as in your addition. It's a plus symbol, right? Positive, like you're adding something, right? And negative is basically you're basically just drawing a line.
No, so when you're doing things that are being frivolous rather than have to succumb to the system, that's the game by my definition. Because it's liberty is just you'll be able to stay at home and jerk off. Right?
Yeah, you have the right to do that, yeah.
Right, to have the right
if you want to waste your fucking life force.
If you want to do that, that's the liberty. But I was listening to these systems that, like socialist systems that even say you have to do...
See, those are full of positive rights. Yes.
Well, it's kind of like if you're able body, you have to go work and build that building over there. You'll get paid, but you can't say no.
Yeah, no, that's not a right. That's not a right at all. That's just coercion.
Yeah. No, it is. Well,
it's outside the topic of rights. It's
I actually know. To me, it's all archy. If the government...
Oh, it's archy.
If a government gets itself into the bed with the construction system, which is what socialism is.
Yeah,
it's a radna akcija. Radna akcija is the work action. It's where everybody's going and building the trail.
You can compel people to a labor camp. Yeah.
But it's in the name of society. All of a sudden, you build a bunch of houses and then you take the houses. So you compel the people to work, and the question is whether you give it to them or not. corrupt. I'm just saying. I'm just exploring.
Or how they're made, how they're designed.
All I'm saying is that biology of the first principles expresses itself in all sorts of corporations. But you need to make people get up and do it. You need to a leader that is gonna blah blah blah, right? Like you can spin it any way you want. The bottom line is there's. Especially when the society becomes bigger and wants to function, people have to get organized.
But must you lead by force, coercion, and threats?
That's strategy. That's a matter of strategy. That's a matter of strategy.
Well, so there's
oligarchies are brutal, whereas more, let's call them, I guess, democratic. Although, what I like about democracy, because I'm a person who is feminine and masculine. I have the patriarchy and matriarchy in me because it's a cocktail. Every person, this is where the whole trans thing, to go to Billboard Chris and then I can call him out with the Zion thing. Because oh my God, let's talk.
Is that how you're gonna fucking
this
close
is a perfect moment. Tell me about my argument with the trans thing is exactly that, and that is that you can, as a person, you're a cocktail of femininity and masculinity, but you might be born with a dick.
And so that's you. You got the dick body. Use it.
No, the argument for me is we use the dick or vagina body to define what's going to say on your passport.
It's a stereotype.
Legally. No, hang on. Which is something that we can objectively, empirically, scientifically verify.
Yeah.
Gender is your subjective experience of that whole thing, which is your memes or potential memes, your RNA, let's call them.
These aren't memes, yeah.
They're your convictions, your personal. I feel this way. Who are you to tell me? I'm a black or white or whatever.
Essentially, shared viral ideas, so they're memes.
Right, you're a universe of your own with your own flat Earth, okay? And you run your own scripts in there.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
And then you project them out into the other world. And with that, you come with a preconceived meme, right?
Okay.
So that's where you can start recognizing where it's just Fetzlop overall. And you have to figure out how to, and that's where you and I fully not only meet, but just agree. Because for me, anarchy is what I'm doing just in a different, what I'm doing or attempting to do with my events. And the only way to build it to a bit of a larger potency is to create anarchy, because you'd be in charge of the online coordination, right? Because people live everywhere. That's where everyone is, right? And you're running that enterprise that can then be replicated. And this is the best part. What I would suggest with this project of ours, potential project, with a lot of potential, as Peterson would say.
Let's not go into too much detail.
No detail. But if the way I would the way I would look at it is, like, for example, with my events with the Sanctuary, September 26th, we're getting sold out, is if that picked up and if for whatever reason became a little archy of its own, because you have to take on, somebody has to be like, okay, I have to organize shit, right? So you have to show up at this time. Memes. Anything is a meme now.
To be an archy, though, you'd have to have authority over people.
That's right. And anarchy is the world on the individual where you negotiate their rights. This is why I called it egalitarianism when you first
it essentially is.
Does that make sense now?
Well, it means
that's what I called it.
You're no better than me, I'm no better than you, so it looks like we have to talk it out.
We negotiate, and whatever you know, so I have to read your character. So that means that you have to, there's nobody you can go run to save you.
Exactly. You can't just call it that and be like, Dad, I'm white and he's black, I win, right?
Right. And that's correct. And that's why conservative systems, more conservative-ish, would also, even though they're clamping down, will call more on responsibility. That's why they don't like socialist systems. Because a socialist system is the matriarchal, which wants to just give liberty. It gives laws to liberty, to more liberty, as an emergent system. Whereas the patriarchy is like, no, fuck what is gays and whatnot. Climb that down. And I think the perfect balance, to tie it in, is just somewhere in the middle, slightly to the matriarchy, because ladies go first. But they're a mixed equilarchy of both systems, right? And anarchy is, I think, what you speak of is, because we have to live in these large systems, is that you have to also, on top, this is the underlying primordial level of genetics, the real luxury genes, or luxury memes, as I would call them, which is the humanity of how are you with a person, regardless of their creed or their religion or whatever. You're accepting them. And to me, this is where you see the total capture of the woke system, who believes that they're inclusive on that level, but really they're completely exclusive.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Just the person who didn't take a jab. What's wrong with having an opinion?
I don't know.
Over something like this. Just think about. And then Charlie, you watched everything, and then I realized, back to my point, unless a person can recognize that both left and the right hand are just taking us for fools, you just haven't really smelled the flowers.
I mean, I remember in high school when I was watching Jesse Ventura and doing his, Democrats and Republicans, fucking basically, his analogy that they're just the two gangs, right? And they're two wings of the same bird. And this was out there so long ago, and obviously people made fun of him. Conspiracy theory.
So that's how they do it. So that's a meme that's shot down. That is epimemetics.
Yeah.
That silence the meme. Does that make sense? Just like a methyl group would silence a gene, so you don't have an adrenaline or you don't feel.
What I think you're saying, and what I kind of believe is that it might be the case that he kind of, like a lot of these guys, is the controlled opposition. He goes in, he kind of Jesse Ventura.
Oh, sorry.
It's kind of like an Alex Jones, if you believe that he kind of just goes in, kind of makes a fool of the movement a little bit. Not that Jesse so much made a fool of it.
Oh, sorry, I mixed him up with Ace Ventura. Yes, Jesse, I know. He's the 9/11 guy. He's the 9/11.
He did things on 9/11. Yes, he had a show called Conspiracy Theory.
Absolutely.
The thing is that he was around, a long time ago, like in the 2000s, not even the 2010s, like before then, right? Like the mid 2000s, and he awakened me to a lot of stuff, but I think a lot of people would look at him and be like, "Oh, this is the dude from Predator. He's a celebrity." Like, it didn't really go anywhere, right? Like that.
You know what? What's the scariest thing about globalism to me, considering how big it is? Because I believe at least nationalism. If we can bring it down to nationalism, then anarchy will be all that easier. But with this globalistic thing, the thing that fears me the most is how. To me, bringing the society overall to a good, healthy, anarchical standard, anarchistic standard, requires I guess less corruption, all that, of course, which it gets all that harder. But
less concentration
for me,
of power.
People who speak up and tell the truth are the immune system of the society. And when only few speak, because the new entity, the cancer, as I would call it, because to me, everything is a cancer to any other system that's dying. Because it's always this. It's always different liberties and orders going. So it is relative in the ethical system, because I want to survive. You want to survive. Push me off the boat. I survived. Sorry, like I was up first here. Like, what am I going to jump in so you can survive? Ladies first. That's your memetics.
Exactly.
And it came out of biology, right? So you see the mix of the two, where the narcissism
has martyrism,
right? It has to be in balance with the whole thing, and I think that the fact that people just don't speak up about this stuff anymore is actually to the detriment of globalists continuing to dominate us.
To the detriment?
I think it's happening all that more because people are just not talking about it the way people.
Well, that wouldn't be to the detriment. That would be to the benefit of the globalist society.
So to their own detriment. To the people's detriment.
Oh, to the people's detriment. Yes,
that's what cancer does. This is why, to me, globalism, and to me, because just like Yugoslavia collapsed, I fear that globalism is really in its own name, which is what a virus is. Yeah. It didn't come to enhance the system that it's invading, like a good bacteria. Oh, you can go, enhance.
No, it didn't.
But it destroys everything. This is why any extremist systems, whether it's a Nazi system or it's socialist or whether it's patriarchal, every time it goes extreme, it just creates a whole bunch of destruction. Man.
The modern incarnation of globalism looks like a controlled demolition of the old world in so many ways. The importing of the third world immigrants, the Muslims, the burning of all the churches, just the destruction of the art, the statues being torn down, the old ideas, the idols, it's all being torn away.
You know how you do it? You do it gradually. Just little bit by little. And then, every once in a while, you create something where 2,000 people die. and you pronounce that a genocide or some crazy adversity, and then you create, the same would have happened with Diamond Princess with COVID. There was some, 2 people died. All of a sudden, out of I remember, it was like, 1,000 of them, and like 3 people died, and it was like a large percentage, 0.4% or whatever. And I'm like looking like, wow, like you can just amp up. It's amazing how you can amp up. This is how you lie with statistics. It's actually very simple.
There's so many ways.
But it's complicated, and people don't what they do is they just hear that the grandmas are dying.
There's so many ways to lie with numbers. It's fucking insane. Like, this is why you can't have any faith in anything. This is why you have to just, if you haven't thought it through yourself, then don't say you know, because you don't. It's a faith-based belief. And
this is why it's not science anymore, scientism.
Yeah, it's
That's
scientism,
why
exactly.
I agree with that. Because, and my argument, and I'll lay it down. Do you want another beer, by the way?
Oh, no, I'm good.
I'll lay this down, is that my claim, and this is the one that blows their heads, just like the flat earthers blows their head that it might be round. Same thing for these. My claim right now, and I'll say it right now, and I'll say it 1,000,000 times if I have to. My claim is that the scientific regulatory process of how COVID, the entire thing was managed, was incepted at governmental levels of data release. That's where I think it happened predominantly. Because all 192 countries were beholden to this one globalistic office. Not more, as Bill Gates would say, 3,000 to 4,000 people would run this Geneva globalistic thing for pandemics, blah, blah, blah. And then they told all the governments that we shall have no jab hesitancy. No vaccine hesitancy. So anyone who released anything, this is what they're doing, the NCI, right? The National Citizen Inquiry of Canada, they're now active again. They interviewed everyone where anytime they noticed any thing where it was adverse looking, they would just get redacted. So these COVID junkies come to you with those reports where, well, this guy is clearly a grifter crackpot head who just probably made up something, who knows, and you just continue believing the globalists because the data from April 21st is gone. It disappeared. Why is it still not there if you believe it in so much? I saw it with my own. It was opposite. Release it all. Release everything. And when you go to there's nothing's released. Nothing.
I'm surprised they even bothered covering their tracks as much as they did, because it doesn't fucking matter.
Because they have so much power. They have so much money.
People were so happy to just jump when they got told to jump. They took glee in it, and they took such glee in telling everyone who didn't join them how much of a piece of shit they were. And it's like, you're so fucking hateful. You're so terrible.
Because you're a bad person. And now notice. Notice that you're hateful, is label of you being bad, which is a mimetic. Now, notice this. Your memes are constructed of 3 ethos, pathos, logos. I talked about this with Scott last time. Okay? Ethos is just I'm big, I can beat you up. There's nothing to it. Right? Like, I'm just dominant.
It's just like what is.
And in a bunch of small people, I'll run the whole society just by the virtue of being bigger.
Okay.
Right? That's your ethos, right? Like sensory motor. Then there's pathos, which is your emotion. Where you are gonna defend no matter what. Your emotional conviction. And then there's your logos, which is your rational. Which I think that the anarchy you talk about has to include all 3, including strong logos to make sure that
it's definitely born of logos, I would say.
Which is even better, right? You don't have a choice then to act in that world. But where I'm going with this is that the as they say, there are 3 modes of what do they call it? 3 modes of persuasion. 3 modes of persuasion. You mean you don't need logos to be persuaded, because you have 2 other strong forces that are even older than logos could ever dream of being.
Right, yeah.
This is what I mean by logos is your round earth.
Yes.
Because these 2 don't care. It doesn't matter. There's survival, and then there's family.
Like, logos is the most of the higher nature. It's the newest.
It's the newest. It's a baby, right? But it's insanely powerful.
It doesn't have quite the coal.
No, but that's why when push comes to shove and your family's in the boat, you're going to be killing.
You revert to that lower brain
You will be
level,
killing for sure. I mean, you might not be, but then everyone dies.
You know, I would equate those three categories that you just gave me, pathos, ethos, and logos, to almost the three layers of the brain, like the frontal lobe, the mammalian brain, and the reptilian brain. They are. You know?
Exactly.
So the ethos would be the reptilian brain.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when they're telling you you're bad, they're not acting through the mode of persuasion of logos. They're acting through pathos. Especially pathos and ethos as well.
Because they're they're the mob.
Who the fuck are you?
They're the mob.
Yeah,
they're the big mob, and you're the little guy. So they're bigger.
And to revert it to anarchy, when there's a random person, I'm like, well, what school did you study? Where did you go?
Yeah.
Of what creed of higher standing are you to me in this room? You and me.
Yeah.
Like, what did you study? What do you know? Which entity have you put your belief, your emotional, yes, that, jab the children, all of them, 500 fucking million children, at a rate of 1 in a million. 1 in a million was dying. More children die of God knows what. Oh my God. 1
in a million is not a lot. No, it's
Can I get another beer, please?
Yeah, I got you, man.
And we can go as far as you want. You're in my mercy because you're the guest. You call the shots.
Oh man, yeah, I'm down to fucking go for another 10 minutes or something. I'm getting pretty fucking.
Are we done? How's this? Okay, I give you the last platform, and then we can play if you want, or just call it. Totally up to you.
Fuck yeah, we've covered such a. I guess we were more focused than we have been in previous podcasts with more people. But all I'll say is that to just end off on anarchy, I suppose, anarchy is an absence of rulers. That's all it is. It is not an absence of rules. It is not an absence of systems. And it is fundamentally predicated upon the belief that you can have voluntary systems which are just as, if not more efficient than archies, coercive ones of rulership. So that's where I'll end that.
Hang on. Can we continue with it?
Yeah, we can.
So, let me play devil's advocate just for shits and giggles. Just for shits and giggles. So let's say we decide to build a house.
Yeah.
Because it's all the same. It doesn't matter what system you choose. Humans are such that there's always a cook in the kitchen, captain of the ship, the manager of this project. Somebody who's taking the responsibility to guide a bunch of lazy asses in some way, right? Okay,
and that's how we've been living, right? But anarchy is an evolution. It's the idea that the individuals have responsibility put back in themselves more so than abdicating it.
So would this be sort of kind of like when you watch like Amish societies just go and build a house?
It would be exactly like that.
But isn't that?
I don't think it's coercive.
What if one of the guys doesn't want to go?
No, but they do want.
What if half of them don't want to go?
No, but they do though.
Why?
Because it's what's right. Because it's what's right.
No, but that's
anarchy.
A meme. Hang on. That's a meme though.
No, but listen, it's turning over the rule of man to just the rule of life and accepting that there is a order in life. And for the Amish, it is so clear.
But there's only so many things you can build and do. You need
if
to
I help you build your house,
should we build 5 houses or we build one big house? Who's going to decide?
And we can come to those without needing to coerce or threaten people with violence.
No, fair enough. No,
here's what I'll say about anarchy.
Pause there.
Okay.
What did you say? Without having to
coerce or threaten with violence.
Excellent.
Yeah. That's the difference.
I still want to point out. I think what I want to point out is that the anarchy that you speak of doesn't have, because usually people think that anarchy means looting. But
they do, yeah.
No, but this is why
that's mind control.
This is why I struggle with the word anarchy, but I'm trying to understand.
They tried to take the word, just like conspiracy theory. They fucked it up for everyone.
Fair enough. For me, anarchy is direct egalitarian negotiation. But for me, that doesn't... anarchy still doesn't negate the fact that you would still even appoint a leader that would make some form of archy on top of it.
No, but
that archy has to, because if you don't want something to fall and you need somebody to sit and study for 4 years.
But here's where it's not
to make sure that the building doesn't collapse. You're dependent on the archy of this one.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Does that make sense?
Do you
and
think
it's legal. The architects are the worst field because you get sued all the time. They're the ones that get all the court cases later in life because something collapsed.
But at the end of the day, you look at what somebody's presenting you come to an agreement, and you have to work it out. And things get complicated when you go into individual disputes. I don't want to get bogged down in all the details of that. But let's just say, if it's an archy, it ends in the barrel of a gun pointed at somebody's face. Ultimately. Because if I don't pay my taxes, what happens? You give me a notice. If I don't pay the notice, then what happens? I go to court. If I struggle and resist and say, no, it's my body, you can't take me, then I get shot. That's precisely the right. Then I'm dead. So it all ends in the point of the gun.
So that's that order that's ever present.
So my question is, do we need to point guns at people to build houses? The Amish don't.
No. My answer is, and I think the answer is Candace's T-shirt, which is less government.
Yeah,
meaning,
well, that's a great start.
It's not black and white. It's about easing off on things that we just really don't have to govern around.
That's a great start.
But that's the anarchy. But this is precisely the anarchy is the liberty to act outside of some governing cook in the kitchen telling you how to do it. Because the more of that you have, that's the more, ironically, that's, archy, ironically, is a masculine trait. This is why I think people get really
but
confused.
listen, there's patriarchy and matriarchy.
That's right. But matriarchy is female bodies executing a male trait.
Is it though?
That's why you have Karens. But because that's why you have the very masculine women. The way I see it men become more masculine, like the prime ministers of the entire West global
moms
system.
do have like a rulership in them. Women have this as well. It's just towards children, whereas men have it towards adults. Is what I would say.
Say it again.
So there's matriarchy and patriarchy, right? And matriarchy treats everyone like children, and it's based on the idea that a mom has
but the caveat to what you said,
the
caveat to what you said is that the matriarchy continues to treat
adults like children.
Even when they
that's
become
when
adults.
it gets out of control.
That is the extremism, and that's when
the left hand.
Well, that's when they come in and tell you who the fuck are you to say you're a bad person. The whole thing.
Well, no. Here's what it really
does. That make sense?
It does, but to just go even further with it, it's when you come to somebody and say, no, you can't do this, and I'm telling you that for your own good.
That's exactly
to protect you.
The for your own good is a matriarchal, because the feeling for your own good is a safety, which is a feminine trait, but the execution is governmental. So born women are equally able to execute. That's why I said we're a cocktail.
We got to say
of
born
feminine
woman
energy
on this podcast.
Was that?
We got to say born woman on this podcast.
Born female.
Just woman.
If you equate woman with that, but the thing is, the problem with the gender thing again. I want to go back to Billboard Chris now. Let's talk about that. The problem with the whole born as a woman or not is really in whether we should allow for it to be legal for the subjective, which is by definition libertyful or matriarch, to roam, to decide whether you're going to be a male or a female on your passport, because that's such a slippery slope.
That's not reality.
No, but that is our reality, right?
I mean, it is literally our fake reality.
Right, and psychologists, the experts, will stamp on it, and psychology it's also
that's a meme,
right? So what? And that's Billboard Chris's point. Now, here's the interesting part, and this is why I think, as much as Billboard Chris never responded to me at all, to all my, I wanted to give him a lot of nuggets on how to fight this thing, or kind of like at least speak. The only time he responded to me is when I called him out on the fact that he was it the Dave Smith Zionist thing in the early days? Was it after Charlie Kirk died? I can't remember now. But I remember watching, because he traveled a bunch, and then he was somewhere in Australia, and that guy Avi from Rebel News.
Oh yeah, I know that.
And because Rebel News are a Zionist organization, I even applied to work for them. And then when I told them I'm not really a conservative, I never heard from them. But he was there, and then there was all these. There was a Palestine thing going on, and there was Avi, because Avi agreed, because the Zionists are great to also mock down the trans people, because that's the PSYOP, right? So Avi was there knocking that, but Avi came with the Zio package, and all of a sudden, Billboard, this is way before I made the comment on this X, Billboard goes, 2,000 years, they belong to go there, and I'm like, and I remember being like, whoa, and now, as I said at the beginning of this whole thing, you have to recognize both psyops. For me to consider you as a person who's kind of, I guess, waking up, I don't know what to say, who's starting to smell the flowers, to say the least. But then I was like, well, and then he made an official post, and he said Zionism is 3,000 years. He just made, I don't know, he just kind of went off, and he said Dave Smith was in, I can't remember, it was some crazy thing. And people were starting to call him up. They're like, dude, hey, like, you don't know anything about this, man. Slow down. And I remember I'm like, hey, Chris, this is your downfall, man. This is the only time he responded to me. He's like, ha, my downfall, you idiots are blah, blah, you anti-Semite. He would have, and then I try, and then the day after that, I tried to go back, and he blocked me.
That's how you get caught.
Billboard pressed, blocked me, and I believed in him. And this is where the left, and then you know what and this is the conclude, the left and right in hand. I think anarchy that you're talking about is a handshake anarchy rather than constant division anarchy. Not anarchy, constant division implemented by this globalist system. I don't even know what the hell it is anymore. Oh my God.
Ultimately, you could still have all this mind control in an anarchist society. The only difference, let's take COVID, for example.
You can't avoid it. It's always going to be there.
You could have it there. I mean,
it's always going to be there.
There might be ways let's say there could be ways to avoid it. I don't know. But what I do know is that...
It's like elephants can't be there. They're huge organisms, or mycelia.
It's likely there's going to be some of that going around. Let's say, it's probably going to be there. But anarchy can't really defend you against that. What it can do is defend you against the no jab, no job kind of stuff.
That's correct.
No travel, right? Those sorts of things. Because it would be, who are
so
you to tell me, right?
I'm so on board, man.
But all the mind control, right? In an anarchist society, COVID would have worked not as well. But it would have worked almost as well, because that's how good the fucking mind control is, right?
It's funny. It's kind of like the way I would see it is that it's one of those where you allow a certain dose of people to negotiate more directly amongst themselves. So when they hear amongst the grapevine, because the city announces that, and I remember doing that. I remember doing this with, they announced that there was like 10 cases in Vancouver, and they were all in this one old people's home. And that was like PCR tests. Meanwhile, I already knew that in 2019, everyone had already experienced it. It was already clear to a large degree. Some people maybe not. But for me, the whole thing was already, a fiasco. And I remember just calculating. This would be the end. I think I did, by your definition, directly, an anarchical move. And I emailed everyone or texted or whatever, and hey, listen up. I'm just going to use some permutation here, some mathematics. And I'm realizing when you make Canadian kids just have electives their entire lives and don't force them to, this is the force, by the way, to learn mathematics, you could actually lose out later in life when you're not being able to calculate shit. And I remember, listen, it's astronomically small, the chances that 4 of us have this virus in us right now, especially since we've been already like locking up for how many weeks, months, whatever. How about you just sit in a car, come down, we take the masks off, and we just like watch a movie together for one night, and then just go home. Right?
They fucking flipped at you.
The flip outs.
Oh, I can bet, man.
And that's your belief. Sorry, that's your pathos.
Now, you know why I didn't even try with most people. I just fucking wrote. And this is sad, but I wrote like probably about maybe 50% of my friends off. I just said, like, look, I know that I'm not going to be able to do anything, because best case scenario, I make them have a really big argument with their girlfriend, and they have to like fucking break up or something, right? Because there's no winning there, even if I win them, So
common sense.
They're too rooted into it, right? They're too fucking deeply intertwined with it,
Actually, one of the phrases that was very popular throughout the last 5 years is common sense, and I think that is in the pocket of the anarchy that you talk about.
Common sense
is when the city announces that 1 in a million children die, and you know that it's most probably going to be like some really immunodeficient child that we already are protecting.
That was gonna,
and most of the deaths are happening in the old people's homes who are so isolated nobody can even look at them. It's in our interest. This is the Great Barrington, and still somehow they poo-poo it. It's unbelievable.
And that's not even
your extremism. That right there is, I'm like, how far do you come in with your health demands, your your health archy?
Think of how many arguments you have. Like, the PCR test wasn't a reliable measure.
Is so much.
If you're unvaxxed, that's within 2 weeks of taking your first jab. That means that people who died from jab side effects got put down as fucking unvaxxed people.
And even then, the data was never released. And none of it was released.
Yeah, there's so many layers of data fuckery that to even look at graphs and statistics, it's just like, man, there's so much poison in this fucking well. I'm not going that route. I'm going a different route.
I'm just weary of it.
I can't even find truth there.
And you know what? I think that societally, this is the anarchy point. Societally, it is unjustified and it should be borderline illegal, if we're going to talk strong memes, for somebody to shame me. And this is what I thought. Because the law is not doing it, is encouraging people to just berate others for this whole pharma junkie
the
bullshit.
government encouraged people to do that.
That's right. And this is the laws that dictate liberty. And that is for me to have the right to say that my opinion, because opinions become laws. If enough people believe it, they say, okay, now we do this. That my opinion, I have the right to express it, and you, by law, should respect it, rather than just call me a conspiracy, this and that and the other. And that, because that's name tarnishing, that's libel for that. It doesn't have to be a blood libel, but you're libeling me by labeling me anti-vax for not even, you take the vax. I'm anti-mandate because it's not justified. I would be pro-mandate if it was killing this much people. I was totally pro. But then I calculated where is it?
It was on the other page.
It's on the other side. Point made.
But even the argument that I would make, the anarchy argument, is that if it was killing this many people, people would be lining up and begging for it, and you wouldn't need a mandate.
That's the point. I think your point is that people, when they're in the orbit of each other, by and large, are sensible enough and humane enough to be able to start cooperating. And although,
truth is self-evident, though. People will act. You can trust people to act in their own self-interest. You can do that. If something benefits them, they will take the path of least resistance.
I think the only path forward is to have to allow for self-expression as much as a strong dose of have-tos. Because in order for society to function, truly most of the strong men, males, or male, it could be a female born, but if it's a masculine body, you can go, the need to go and just build a house, even if you don't feel like it. Some people might not feel like it, but you still get up in the name of. That's my point. And you have to find a good balance between the two in order for it to make it healthy.
Well, it's just fair is fair, right? Like, if you don't work, you don't eat. Fair is fair.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you have to address, for example, there's so many layers to human societies. You have to address, for example, the problem of human male horniness. What are you going to do about the need of the fact that male bodies are just
cause some problems? But there's a way.
No, but you can, if you allow them to just go get it out, you can actually have a more benign society rather than a repressed society. That's frustrated.
We are still very trapped in our animal nature because that.
So how do we societally deal with it? Do we allow for it, or do we shame men that want to just go get laid? It's a legit simple society.
No, it's all just negative rights, right? You say you have the right to decide who you have sex with and who you don't, and she has the right to decide.
But hang on. If you're in a relationship and married and whatnot, you're bound not to by law.
Well, you make an agreement.
But that's a meme, right? But an agreement, like for example, I found out recently that you don't even have to live with a person for 3 months anymore to be considered a common law. The other person can bring a picture of you with a family where you're wearing some garments that signify that you're of the family.
Fucking Canada,
But this is liberty. This is where law is becoming, where a psychologist can go and talk to a child and say, I'm a professional and I deem Petra the stamp that this child is trans, start cutting. This is what I mean. The liberty is the police has been defunded, and now the law is encouraging for a bit more frivolousness, if you will,
frivolity,
and that's in the name of the rainbow. But my point is, no, what you're doing is you're pushing the rainbow into an extreme. The true rainbow is allowing for conservatism, people who are masculine, who want to have a family and not shame, people who just want to live healthy and just take care of their health outside of pharma drugs. Fair enough, do it. The true
rainbow doesn't involve pharma drug advertisements on TV every fucking night. And then the fact that, just consider how bad COVID actually was, though. Our taxpayer money was taken and it was funneled into this pharmaceutical company. They made government contracts where they could sell, fucking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of doses to governments. Imagine the size of these contracts, the profits. And
it's insane.
The guy
and you have to meet the margin.
I don't get to fucking choose whether I paid for that. You could say, I could have democracy. I could choose who I vote for. Yeah, okay. Why did every fucking country on earth do this?
in the same token,
There's no choice.
in the exact same token, okay? Schools are created in a city because you have to organize a bunch of kids to go get educated, and then your taxes are being taken to educate the children by hiring some teachers to go and sit with them and babysit them for 8 hours
taxes
a day,
are the first problem,
40 days out a week, plus extra if you're too busy working. Now my question is here, same to your point, exactly to your point. Why can't I just take my kid out of school for 2 days and then get that money? And then that money, because now it's summertime, you have to pay for the camps.
Yeah.
Shit ton of money out of your pocket.
Yeah.
Why can't I take the government money and say, okay, I don't want her in the school system. Instead, I'll put her into this thing that I believe in.
Yeah, well,
so that would be a system.
That's anarchy.
That's correct, right? But it's tricky because at the same time you need to depend on certain organizations to deliver these. It's that chicken and egg. You see, did the kid come with the need first, or with the need for us to organize to meet the need?
But think about this.
But it's an ever spinning circle that gets ingrained.
Consider this.
Does that make sense?
It does. But consider the modern public education system. How long has it actually existed? How long have these schools actually existed? And how the fuck did people get along before then?
Correct.
They did.
Correct.
And we didn't have a massive taxpayer funded. We didn't have a fucking income tax. And somehow kids figured out how to participate in society. In fact, some of the greatest people who ever lived. People, fucking James Newcomen. I don't know if he went to some school when he was older, but the point is you didn't have the modern, Carnegie style, Prussian model fucking education system where you have all these government funded schools.
That's the thing, because especially as children, you're impressionable, and depending on how many hours per day you spend in any given field, we should probably call it soon.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty tired.
Yeah, we should. Let's call it off. But I'm just saying, like the educational system is how the globalists got in, because they just took all the admin positions.
Antonio Gramsci's Long March Through the Institutions. That's how they get you.
I don't know about this.
It's a long march through the institutions. It's the idea that the baby's born, he goes to his little kindergarten, then elementary school, then college, then the workplace, and as you go, you're slowly molded. By the time you get to the end, you're exactly as they want you to be, and that's the long march through the institutions.
It's a tricky one because it pays with globalist systems, because they made so much money. If you toe their line, you get the grants, you get the jobs, you don't get fired, you don't get to be the person who announced that there's adversity, and all of a sudden there's these research papers that are saying that the jab actually is not that healthy for you, but you lost your job. Which devil route in the crossroad are you going to take?
Yeah.
And that happens at every step of your life.
It's almost like, how socially are you thinking? Because socially, you get everything if you follow the system.
It's very rewarding.
The woman, the money, the guys, the status.
You can tie it to Israel as well. You get, if you decide to go to live to Israel, you'll get rewarded. You'll get all sorts of perks.
If I decide to go to Israel?
Or anyone.
Not
Jewish
anyone.
person.
Not anyone can just fucking go there.
I hear you can convert. You can convert.
You can. Listen, let's put it this way. It would be a lot easier for me than for you.
No, but my point is, you go there, you get perks, and a lot of people take the golden road.
Well, you could say that about America too, though.
All of it, I mean it. I mean your family, your own parent.
Right. Every in-group gives you some perks.
The moment you become social, because anarchy lives on a me and you.
Yeah.
The moment there's a third person, it becomes social, and then you have a society where there's a layer of memes that come, that play. You have to show up for the gathering. We're doing a book club. Are you coming or not? What the hell? Imagine like the podcast, you just decided not to show up, which happens because people here are very flaky.
I know, it's Vancouver.
Right? But then notice how the importance becomes between two people just as much.
Yeah.
And this is,
it all comes down to that. You can reason everything down to that.
I would in a eukaryotic cell, if I could, this is how we can.
Don't know what that means, but
I'll explain. Eukaryotic cells are the first cells that ever existed that don't have a nucleus. Okay, that's the first time the lipid nanoparticle to really tie it all.
So it's artificial.
No. That's the first living form that was defined as a cell.
Okay.
Is the cells that don't have a nucleus.
Okay.
They are. It's when life started, and they have their genes inside of their cytoplasm. They don't have to go through that mRNA stuff.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Make sense?
It sounds like
they're just swimming around, and every once in a while, depending on the influence, think of it. My isomorphic comparison is a tribe where is egalitarian, artistic, the way you say.
Okay.
You can still exist within a city like a circus, a crowd that you trust. Think of it.
Egalitarian is the wrong word.
And then they sense. Was that?
Egalitarian is the wrong word. We need to find a better word than egalitarian implies.
I call it propolitaire.
Let's say equal.
I call it propolitaire. I'm working
Propolitaire?
Propolitaire because prokaryotic means before the nucleus.
Okay.
Before the genes got centralized in the nucleus. Before the nucleus is your archaea of the biological world. If you want to turn it back this way.
Like a central commander.
Which it is.
Yeah.
It completely gogoverns which gene is going to genetically get expressed.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas eukaryota is before. It means before. Karyota means before the. Before the. You can have a sip, by the way. Before the nucleus was formed, and for me, as you would define it to a large degree, eukaryotic. Eupoliteia, because politeia is the governing system that does the archaea. Politeia is archaea. Eupoliteia means egalitarian. Everyone negotiates around. There's no chief that you go, oh, should we plant the harvest then and here? But rather it's negotiated somehow amongst the people.
So that's not egalitarianism, because egalitarianism is...
That's how I define it.
That's a guaranteed equality of outcome, which can only be achieved through coercion.
That's equity. Hang on. Equity. Egalitarianism is different, right?
Is it?
The thing is, there's so many. This is Dawson. The problem here is that there's so many terms that are interlocked and that I've defined them. So for me, context matters. We can define it whatever we want. But my point is, the egalitarians are defined as an egalitarian society because all the Bushmen who are egalitarian, there's no chief, and they're called egalitarian societies. And I remember reading the women have to be strong. They have to have a strong masculine and a feminine because they have to fend for themselves. Yeah. It's a different energy completely, right?
Well, let me provide this distinction, and I don't know the exact correct words, but let me just explain. Equality of opportunity, equality of outcome.
Equality of opportunity
is the one you're talking about.
Is the order. That's the masculine to me, ironically. But it's done by females.
That's the natural order.
When it's done in the name of health, then it's a matriarchal move.
And I would say that if you had to place one in each camp, the equality of opportunity would be more masculine, and the equality of outcome would be more female.
Because you're dictating, you're making laws to allow for more liberty.
In the masculine.
Against the masculine.
Okay. Well,
against the order.
This is
the
where
order is stepping back. Order. No. It's fully pragmatic. Order stepping out, and you're saying the person's allowed to go have a naked bike ride. You know, like in Russia, you would get beaten up, you would get imprisoned if you're.
No, but
maybe not. I don't know. There's a lot of Russia.
When I say it's paradoxical, I mean it's like if we break down the world and say, oh, there are two polarities, masculine and feminine. But if I dig into either masculine or feminine, I will once again find two polarities in there. So if I dig into
branchings are fine. That's your Christianity branching.
But if I dig into the masculine, I'll find on one hand it says personal responsibility. You have the freedom and the consequences that come with that freedom. You're responsible for yourself.
I would say that's
on the other
hand,
you have the order aspect that says, no, you have to do this because I fucking said so.
And that goes hand in hand.
Well, those are the two polarities of the masculine, right?
No. Do it again.
The polarities, and they do go hand in hand.
No. They go 100% go
right, because one is saying personal responsibility.
Listen, responsibility is when all of a sudden you have to convince the workers to show up at 9 a.m. Now, we can do it the nice, anarchical, good way, or you can become a tyrant oligarchy way. But whichever way you do it, your responsibility is to guide these people as... and that's why I made that distinction with Archie earlier, where it's not necessarily negative. When people believe in you and you're a good leader,
well, that's not Archie. That's not Archie.
No, it is.
Because Archie ends in the point of a gun. That's the difference.
No. I disagree, because Archie means governance. And governance is when you believe in your leader and you follow. When you're in a kitchen, because I take it down to... This is why I started with the proteins at the base. Okay. Because we have a kitchen and you love your employer, and I love working for this guy. I'll do anything he says. When you go for your person who you believe and they've died for you or whatever, like saved your life or whatever, you'll do anything for them. You commit. That's your again, pathos. That's that, like, and it's stronger than...
Yeah, but you're not... Archon means ruler. That means that
I'm telling you
that
to put the right now. You have to
Right.
cut the onions right now.
What are you gonna
Otherwise, right now.
What are you
cut
going to
the
do
onions.
if I don't?
Well, then I fire you. I find somebody else.
That's not archy.
No, it is.
No, archy means I have to cut the onions and I actually have no choice.
No, that's oligarchy. That means you're gonna die.
No, but that is archon. That is ruler. Because when
no,
the
no,
rulers,
hang on.
that's ruler.
Hang on. Ruler me. Okay, I get employed. Follow me.
Yeah.
I get employed in a company, and in the morning I have to, make sure that I remove something or someone's gonna die.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a boss that's above who's in charge of the employees, and this is where the responsibility comes in. This is where architects get sued, not people under
Right.
them.
Okay.
So the employees don't matter. It's the person who takes the responsibility that is legally responsible. That means you're guaranteeing that it's going to happen, and that minimal amount of people are going to die. And if they do, it's your ass. Right?
But it's all predicated on agreements that both parties consent
Absolutely.
to, which is not archy.
No, agreement is that there's going to be anarchy. This is my point. The agreement implies that guy is going to tell me what to do because he's the expert. That's what they played off the entire COVID thing. That's how it works. Anytime the mother who's in charge of a child, this is why it's a masculine trait that can be performed by female-born bodies, where a mother can tell and has to tell the child. I think, and then to tie it in, and then we can finish. Eupolitea is I want to finish that. Yeah, eukaryotic cells are no nucleus. Prokaryotic cells is no nucleus. Before
right.
nucleus. Eukaryotic after the karyota, the kernel, the nucleus.
Okay.
That's the ones after, the ones that have the kernel. And those are the only ones that create multicellular organisms. Otherwise, if you don't have a nucleus as an entity, you always stay in the bacterial form.
Right, you can't build.
Same. It's the same with human societies. If you're
and this is actually a great analogy.
Yeah,
I have my own take on this.
Okay, please, but let me just wrap it up.
Yeah.
Propolitea is before there was a chief. When humans were just negotiate. The apes are like that. Although there's alpha, depending on the size. And Eupolitea is after Politea got formed in human societies. And now, biologically, this is that you talked about. We have it in our genes to want to have a leader. There's some people just don't want to do it. They just tell me what to do. I'll just do it. Like they welcome the archy.
Yeah, but there's
the archy is in the form.
I need you to understand this though, because there is a very important distinction. The cell, when you have the center of the cell, the nucleus isn't pointing a gun at the rest of the parts of the cell and forcing it what to do. It's a harmony. It's a harmony.
No,
it's a mutual benefit.
If somebody like Fauci sends a signal to a gene that it has to kill itself, the genetic coding that calls for apostrophe. No, apostrophe is something else. It's something like that.
Okay, well...
just self-kill the cell right away.
Maybe I shouldn't use the biology analogies because I'm not as well-versed in them.
It's the same, though. It's the same thing. It's kind of like you can't order... This is cult behavior. But sometimes that's your Hannibal's order.
But there's a difference between a leader and a ruler. That's what I need you to understand, man. And that's where archy comes in. Archy is only ruler. Leader is not archy.
No, actually, no. Fair enough. The only thing
archon is a ruler.
I would only say that my only distinction would be that a ruler is an oligarch, whereas a leader is an archy. That's how I define it.
I just can't get down with that because archon literally means ruler. It's a direct translation. It doesn't mean leader. It means ruler, and there's a big difference between those two words. They mean different things.
Fair enough. Yeah.
A leader leads. So a good leader leads by example, right? A really good leader goes to the front of the battle and point like Aragorn in Lord of the Rings, for Frodo, and he charges forth. A fucking archy sits in the back and says, "Get the fuck out there, or you're dead."
Very good. Okay, fair enough. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Nevertheless,
you need leaders.
No. Okay, so then in that case. I'm totally with you because it's just a matter of the defining. I want the context.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I would like to find a term because I'm all about finding the term.
Yeah.
I would like to find a term of what is the person doing, leading I guess, is the difference from governing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Big difference.
Even though, I would like to find a common word. Is where we're going.
Between both of those?
Yeah, meaning there's a person who has to build a building, and he's gonna shoot you in the head if you don't do it. Like it's like, you know, let's go like pyramid style.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I was just thinking.
Okay, so you're gonna get shot in the head if you don't build this, which would make it a ruler situation. Mm-hmm. And there's a person who comes to you and say, listen, we have a community going, you can be part of it if you want, we're going to reward you because we believe in the
But then you'd have to build something useful.
No, regardless, right? That would be called the leading.
Yes.
But the process of building the building, once the negotiation terms of being conducted, still have the person who has the blueprint to go back to the video.
Yeah.
Because there's a blueprint.
Like the architect, yeah.
You have to have, it's one thing, a small tribe, a small group of people will never make an iPhone. You need thousands of people. You need thousands of people.
You need orchestration.
And that
you
means
need a conductor.
you cannot, because the cells that don't have a nucleus, just like societies that are egalitarian, by my definition, will not be able to create. This is my hypothesis. This is my hypothesis. The only, and it's true if you look at its face, the only multi-level societies, like cities and whatnot, are the ones where there's a mother and father role and there's people who follow on every level. That's why you have the kitchen, the chef. That's why you have the mother and the father. That's why in every boss is always a boss. In every business, there's always a boss. And it goes to the top because then it just builds on top.
It does, yeah. They're like they're like cells. They're like building blocks.
Yeah, and then the strata is a bunch of, you send a representative and they create a new one.
You have the cells build the body, and
that's right.
And then the body is one part of the family, and then the family is one part of the society.
And I think that a living system works the same way. They have the basic ones to just protect cells in general.
Yeah.
But then there's heart cells that have different rules than, I don't know.
And for good reasons. Yeah.
Because that's differentiation now.
Yeah.
And societies work the best the same way.
But just back to your terms in terms of like, how would you find a common term?
Yeah, so what would you say? Because I just want to have a term. I don't care. I want to understand.
I like the word conductor, honestly.
All right.
Because the word conductor doesn't imply coercion, but it does imply some level of orchestration, right?
Because for me, a ruler is also not necessarily the same thing as, because you say archi means ruler.
Means ruler, yeah. Archon, a ruler. Direct translation. Yeah.
Because, fair enough. Because without the context of the additional leader thing, which I really like, by the way, without that context, for me, ruling means, hey, listen, you just rule. I'm giving you consent because I just believe your thing. I think you do a really good job. I'm here. In fact, I'm in it just for the money. I don't even care about your rulings. You just tell me what to do. You're telling me what to do. That's the level, if we're going to go real archy. It really boils down to, hey, you have to go and just those nails over there.
So
now,
like
whether I am ruling you or whether I am leading you, I'm telling you what to do. I need the word conducting is works.
Yeah, but conducting.
For me, I've been just
reasonable.
Anyways. But this is important because I'm realizing, just like with the translation, because with the argument with that guy earlier, not to really take it back to Corona again.
Yeah.
What he's saying is that it's not, I might have already said, but I really want to reaffirm it. Not only we are saying that when that mRNA comes in, it's going to be sending off to say, kill the cell in the name of the bigger body.
Yeah.
Let's do apostasy. Right? Not apostasy, it's hypostasy.
Apostasy.
I know. Separate, never mind.
Yeah.
But it also can get involved into integrating in itself into the genome,
the reverse transcription,
and if it's in
the blueprint, which is the DNA.
That's right. And not only,
you said RNA.
That's right.
You said DNA.
RNA comes in, and instead of going and creating a protein, it goes backwards.
It reverse transcripts into DNA. And that's how it modifies.
And now DNA is going to start creating the spike protein.
Yeah.
Or the mRNA that will create the spike protein.
I see. I didn't even go to that level. I just thought, hey, it's modifying your DNA.
But this is if anyone wants to understand this, truly understand it, that guy did half a step because just to make it really tied in. He called the mRNA blueprint, but what it really is the DNA is the blueprint.
Right.
And mRNA is the manager.
Or I thought you said messenger.
The messenger, the guy who needs to execute the building, is the mRNA. He's the guy who's
the guy who delivers the
I'm reading
blueprints?
the DNA, the blueprint.
Yeah, he reads it.
And I need to create the workers who are going to build this thing, which is the protein.
Okay, I see.
Get it? It's literally the same. And the corruption. And so they bring in now. We have a guy who we created in a lab. He's going to come in. And he's wrapped in. He's going to enter, for all I care, a reproductive cell inside of you. He's going to go straight to your sperm or the eggs. The women only have so many.
the
of.
precious eggs.
And if it goes, first it'll make it to self-destruct. Even worst case scenario, it won't self-destruct. Go the other way and actually make the DNA create spikes. So when the kid is born, it has spike in it. What the hell?
This is the thing that scares me and why I'm so hesitant to date a vaxxed woman.
I know, shedding and all too.
This is why there's a...
it's crazy on its face.
Hopefully somebody comes up with a solution to that problem so unvaxxed people can meet each other and have babies. I don't know who would do that. But hopefully somebody
I have a person
someday.
in mind.
Hopefully somebody would do that someday. I hope that would happen.
too.
Because the people who have tried so far... good on them for trying. That's all I can say.
And if anyone attempts to do it, I will be right there behind their backs and helping them. I'm going to help push the whole thing. Stay tuned for that, family. Hey, Rob. That was awesome.
It's a good podcast, man.